How's it going, everybody? And welcome to the long-awaited, mostly by me, just so I can now say we're doing the podcast now, and I think our fourth or maybe fifth location, hopefully permanent for a while. But this is Shin Megami Tensei Network, your somewhat weekly, always moving around podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Presley. Joining me this week is the world's second largest 311 fan, LaRue of Did You Know He Loves 311 Tensei.
Hey, I love 311.
Can't even say it with a straight face. That's how much he loves 311.
Yeah, they just bring out the smile instantly.
It's like it goes 311, Papa Roach, and anyone else who I don't actually listen to. So, LaRue, it's been a long time, but you know what else has been a long time? My wallet recovering from Anime Expo. How have you been?
Yeah, like, literally, it was like this check where I was like, oh, okay, I won't be homeless.
So, I'm not sure how much I'd like kind of talked about this. I think I did a little bit with Jody like 2 or 3 episodes ago, but I had the worst planned trip to AX possibly of all time. We finished our lease the week before AX. No, the week after AX ended. Our lease on our old place was up, and also the month before AX had just signed and rented a new place. So I was paying two rents and needing to move and going to Anime Expo for the first time.
Oh,
A awful combination.
yeah.
that I will. It was literally one of those things where I was like, if it wasn't for the fact that we were planning all of this stuff for either coverage or meeting people, doing panel, and the concert, I'd be like, yeah, any other like right-minded person would be like, no, just don't go, just don't go, you idiot. But I had to go
Yeah, yeah, especially for this one.
because it was one of those funny things where like I'm sure someone who like lives a lot closer to the like LA Convention Center, like you've had years where you just don't go, but like was there ever any part of you that was like, yeah, out of all the years I literally have to go, this is one of them?
Yes, exactly. Especially for Megaten fans, Atlus fans.
Well, that's actually, I was kind of surprised when we had talked about it before that you were like, yeah, I'm going, but I'm not gonna go like all 4 days. So like for you, since you've been before, what kind of like dictated like whereas like basically because like one of the reasons I wanted to invite you on along with talking about everything else was like you're a good perspective of like someone who's been there for various years, not like every single year, but like goes a lot more than I would versus like a first timer. So like for you, like is it ever like what kind of dictates when you're like, okay, this is a year I should go versus like, oh, there's something I can't miss and I have to go?
So I think initially it has to do like with what panels like get revealed and how early they get revealed. In previous years, you would have a lot more like time to even decide. Like you would have even up until June to be like, well, yeah, I'll go all 4 days, and by then you'll know pretty much what the entire lineup is. I think like this year in particular was like it's exceptionally difficult to do that because you had to have like if you had to decide like right away. So for me, like having that information of what's going to be available, it was part of it. The other thing was kind of like how much of a money commitment can I put to this? So can I put the like several thousand, or can I only put like a couple hundred? Because you know that like a couple hundred will buy you like a single plush.
Oh yeah, like and that's being like pretty liberal with the pricing, no less as well. But like, what's like kind of
Yeah.
funny is like since going to AX, I've unlocked a weird new like trend of AX videos on my TikTok in my for you page. I keep getting videos that I'm an artist alley person or I'm a vendor, and this is how much money it costs just to get the booth, and like the price is just blowing my brain.
Yeah, it's insane. But then at the same time, like it's actually worth it because you could be a fan of the nichest thing, and there's at least one artist alley person for you. There's gonna be someone who's gonna recognize your cosplay, no matter how obscure you get. I think that's the other thing is I like to go if I'm gonna actually cosplay. I didn't cosplay this year, but another thing is if I have an idea to cosplay and I'm like dedicated to it, especially if it's one that takes a lot of time, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm wearing this till the cows come home.
I forget what's it called. Is it scening or what's it called when you like dress up as an inspired thing in Disneyland?
Forget, I don't know.
I I feel like we could call your outfit at least that because like your like Atlas Photo
Oh, yeah.
Club deep cut at least was kind of counted as like a themed cosplay for the Atlas meetup.
That's true. It was themed, and I was like, I don't know, maybe one person will like, be as obsessed of very micro niche like corners of Atlas history and be like, wow, like a print club fan, I see.
You should have like had a prize. Like you should have had like a print club like photo if someone knew that that's what it was. It's like here you go. You get the one prize for this.
The thing that someone told me was that I should have like had like the logo, like the print club logo somewhere on my like outfit so people could actually like put two and two together, if anything.
Well, like that's one of the funny things about like, especially like as you and me are lovers of very obscure Atlas merch. There's not like print club merch outside of the machines and the photo paper. Like, there's not really a
Yeah.
lot of it.
Yeah, like I actually can't even think of any. So I mean, if you know of something that I don't know,
The
send me a link.
the only thing I've ever seen from the Atlas Print Club that would like count as merchandise was like a flyer announcing it, but like that would be it. But I mean, even that's something
Yeah,
that is still I would steal. Like the amount of random things I like took at Anime Expo that people just thought like, "What's wrong with you?" Like I have one next to me. I haven't shared this yet, but like to like show how sad I am. LaRue, I have a not one but two, both sizes of the Persona 5 Tactica ice cream cups in mint condition. Will they ever go on eBay? Of course not. They're just going to stay in my collection getting dusty because I had to have one to eat and then one to have in my collection to keep hermetically sealed for all time.
I mean, you got, I mean, you got something that I don't got. I wanted to go there, but it was such a maze to get to that truck that I was like,
Oh
guess
yeah,
I'll just not have that.
that's the funniest thing about that food truck. That was the only one all weekend with no line.
Uh,
Which I
Wait,
mean,
but wasn't it? But you would think that that would be like one of the most like popular food trucks.
until you
If
realize
anything,
there was
yeah.
another themed food truck, and the giant themed food truck with Genshin Impact was dwarfing it in size. Like the line for that one, like encompassed past three other food trucks. It was ginormous.
Oh,
And as
okay.
yeah, and as we're not true MiHoYo fans, that's our curse for not living up to its popularity.
Yeah, I don't even know if what you said just now. I don't know what that means. I'm like,
So yeah, so like so for anyone who basically didn't know, like there wasn't a lot of Atlas stuff at the convention, which is kind of funny to say
yeah.
because like by Atlas standards there was a lot, but like just because of like how
Mhm.
big AX is, it's like there was probably 19 different One Piece booths if I'm being like conservative.
Yeah.
Um, but like Atlas had a ice cream company, I think it's called like Go Fluff or whatever, and it was just shaved ice cream that had Persona 5 Tactica cups, and that was the only way to get the lanyard. Did you at least get the lanyard?
No.
Th-
I wanted to make the effort and I was like, oh, maybe I'll just check eBay, but nah, I didn't even get that. It sucks because I didn't even get the other keychain that I'm missing out. I have Morgana, but I don't have Joker.
Oh, okay. I was actually gonna say, do you only have Joker? I'm sorry, do you
No,
only
I
have
only have
Morgana?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Usually I'm so rabid that I'll go like several times to get everything,
they ran out on the
but
first day. I was shocked.
yeah, yeah, I didn't understand how they could how when you tweeted that out, I was like, oh, cool. Or maybe you just said that to me.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
know. I don't
Yeah, because
remember
we,
if
we we I did it three times. I have two Joker pins, no Morgana, and then by the time we went back on the second and third day, they were like, "No, no, no, we for real just don't have any more. We're getting." And I was like, my mind was blown by that. Like, A, why did they make the keychains mystery, and then B, why not? Like, wouldn't you just think wouldn't it be
yeah.
easier just to have like, here's what they all are, and then if you're a pair, you get both keychains.
Yeah. I mean, because it being a mystery literally just encourages people to repeat. Like that's it.
Yeah, that's true. And there were a lot of people who double dipped on the first day, and I was like, oh, I have other things to wait in line for. I mean, I was already dragging my wife to like the first thing. Like she looked at like because she'd never been to a convention like this big ever. It's like so like when she went in the hall, she was like, oh my god, look at all the cool stuff I get to go do. And I was like, all right, honey, time to wait in the merch line for 3 hours. So like the big one with that one was so funny is like okay cool you get to Anime Expo you want to go like check out the Atlus stuff and like I was in a little bit of a different position because I had already promised to do a group order which again is on me for the most part but I was like oh how bad could it be because I'd always heard horror stories of AX like exclusive merch being a pain in the butt
Yeah.
and what's so funny is like I feel like this year nothing sold out with the exception of like one or two items and one of them I'm starting to think genuinely does not exist um like
The
I've
skateboard?
the skateboard I've seen not a picture of not a video not a tweet not a like I genuinely don't
Yeah.
think they brought any.
Yeah, I because they said that it sold out immediately, and I was like very skeptical because I was in
You and I
line.
you were literally the first person I saw in the first hour of the convention. I saw you waiting in line. Like I just gotten in because I had an industry badge, so I had no line at all. So we were both there
Yeah.
sub first hour, and they said it was gone.
Yeah, and and same. I've been literally. It's one of my eBay saved searches is like Persona 5 skate deck or an Atlas skateboard, Anime Expo skateboard, and it's like I don't think it existed either.
So like what's so funny about it is like two things. Of course, I had two orders like people had paid me in advance. So I had expected to bring back two giant skate decks which didn't happen. But then what was funny was
Yeah.
just like I just like couldn't get an answer out of them for until like the last day of the convention. I was like, because like sometimes like maybe an order shipped late
Yeah.
or something happened and
Mhm.
like oh it's not there the first day and so it'll be there tomorrow. Like I totally get that, but at no point did they ever just say, hey guys, it's not here, it's not coming. Stop asking about it.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah, and yeah, I asked the same thing about like, oh, like, are there going to be any more tomorrow? And they're like, well, they just told me they were sold out for the
mhm.
convention. And I'm like, I can't imagine 10 people buying this, let alone like 100 or however many they would have had.
And I mean, I'll say this: I'm definitely not someone who follows skate deck collecting. It's definitely a thing that I see, and I'm like, is that really that big? And it is. Like, I mean, Crunchyroll and Viz alone, I think, had like 10 plus different skate decks that were exclusive to the conventions. Like, that's a really big
Yeah,
like
that's true.
collector scene. But even then, the thing isn't that it's sold out. It's that you and I have literally never seen a single person with it. Which, by the way, if you're listening
Mhm.
to this, people, please tweet at us. Tweet at us, comment at, like, let us know if you know anyone who got this skateboard deck. Because, like, this is, like, apparently, like, who knows? Maybe Atlas was like, hey, we'll make two. We'll make two and see if anyone buys it. And it's, like, the most, like, randomly rare collector's item they've ever done. My money is on this. They fucked up, couldn't get it shipped in time, and it'll be on the Shop Atlas store by like fall.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it's a bit of a word on, but like I guess we might as well get the Atlas booth out of the way because I feel like that's going to be its own like little like labyrinthian adventure. So for you,
Hmm.
you got to the convention day one. It's Saturday. What was your adventure going to the booth like, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, so I mean, it was literally the first thing I did. So I just straight shot from the booth, from like line queue to booth. For like the lowly people like me, we had to just arrive about 2 hours early. So I was standing in line
The
for
lowly
two.
people.
Yeah, we were the little secret that I don't know the people who are listening to this will be in on it, but the fastest line to get in if you don't have like any kind of special like pass is literally to go to the underground parking lot line. That's the one that's usually
No
the
one, yeah,
shortest.
because of what that's south entrance, right? Like no one ever uses that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and so then that one it will fill up, but it usually takes longer, and they let you in at the same rate as the other one, so it doesn't really matter. But we got in. I ditched my friend who was with me, and I was like, I'm going to Atlas, and I got in line immediately, which is unusual because the Atlas booth usually, they cap the line and then you just have to like come back whenever, like an hour later. But I think they had like hired other people because I didn't recognize most of the people except the
That
ones inside of
Oh,
the.
okay. That's what I was gonna ask you. Is like the ratio of non-employees working the booth was so weird to me. Like, and I know Atlas West has had a lot of turnover in the last year, but I was like, I'm so used to looking at pictures of old like AX and stuff and being like, oh, it's that person in QA, or it's that person in marketing. It was like, I don't know any of these people except like two
Yeah,
faces.
yeah, and those two faces were like inside the booth most of the time, like
Mm-hmm.
inside the part with all the merch or whatever. So like it was weird, but then I got through the line really quickly. Immediately was like, "Can I get a skateboard?" And they were like, "We're sold out." The booth itself was, I thought it was organized pretty nicely. It might not have been the most efficient, but it definitely was a nice looking store, I think. And the two separate photo ops were nice. Like, I actually didn't look at the Sega side. I know that there was a Sega side, but I didn't look at it, so I couldn't tell you.
So, did you know that there was actually two Sega photo op booths?
I didn't
There
even
was
know there was
there was
one.
the giant Yakuza one in the entrance, and then there was the Yakuza
Uh,
one that was in front of the Samba de Amigo line.
hmm,
By the
I
way,
did
so
not know
like
that.
I always seen kind of pictures for it before. Is Atlas's booth usually this big? Like I did not expect them to have as giant as a booth as they actually did this year.
It seemed like it was a little bigger. Last year it was about that big, but it was like that. Just imagine the Atlas part, but it was just Atlas and Sega. But I since I didn't see how big the Sega side it was, I can't tell you how much real estate it was taking up. Usually the Atlas booth is smaller though, for sure.
Okay.
So this is definitely the biggest, and it had the. I almost want to say it had the most merch, but I haven't actually looked at the different years and compared.
No, this was easily the most merchandise they'd ever had because they'd never brought this much Like a Dragon merch. Fantasy Star Online had merchandise, and then like what was surprising was like I kind of expected some of it, but they even had overstock, which I thought what was funny is they had overstock SMT5 merch left over. They didn't bring any Persona merch, but they had a bunch of SMT5 merch that clearly hadn't sold out on the website, and they brought there. But for anyone who doesn't isn't sure, and I'll try and throw in some B-roll into the video version of the podcast because I have quite a bit of it. Like it's sort of weird. Like the whole booth was centered around the store, and so like you were kind of just
Hmm.
lining up this square to either get it was like a line surrounding line. So you're either in the middle getting merch, or you're doing photo booths on the
Yep.
right, or you're doing demos on the left. And what was so funny about it was like it actually changed. So, did you ever go back any of the other days to go check out the merch line?
No, like I made the mistake of only buying the Saturday ticket, and then of course the rest of the tickets sold out, and I was not gonna pay a scalper. But yeah, you're saying that the booth a bit?
It changed. So, not for the better, but it changed in like you could like see them working it out in their brains, be like, guys, it would make so much more sense if we do this, and then it blowing up in their face and then them going back. So, on day one, they kept it the same. It was you could line up and you could get merchandise, uh, buy it there or on the website, and then go from there. Or what you could do is order it on the website, pick it up. We'll get to that later. That's its own Herculean journey. And what was so funny about it was like the website was crashing so much for me on the first day. We just waited in
Yep.
line anyway. So I had the website crash on me about 9 times the hour and a half it took me to get into the line to look at stuff. And I was like, listen, we're already here. If it ends up being faster to buy it in store, I'll just do it in store. And it thankfully wasn't. But what was so funny about it was then by the time I got my order placed, we were about to go look at all the merch. I was like, well, let's look at all the stuff I just spent $1,000 on. So it was actually really funny because there were a couple of things that I was like, okay, I hope this feels good, and then I hope this feels bad because there were some things I passed on expecting them to feel bad, and I was thankfully right. Like one of the one I really was like worried I was gonna have FOMO on was the SMT like embroidered jacket, and by the time I felt that
Yeah.
one, I was like, okay, I feel okay not getting this. Not because it was a bad jacket, but it was just like it's just not my kind of style. And then the opposite
Yeah.
was I bought the really ugly Katakana Joker T-shirt, and I was like, just feel like those ugly, ugly Dragon Ball Z button-up shirts, and it absolutely did. The only thing, and I'm surprised I haven't heard anyone talk about this. I don't know if Atlus has done this in the past because I haven't had any AX merch from Atlus since Persona 4 Dan. All of it
Hmm.
is Japanese size,
Oh,
which I was
oh,
like, that's weird, right?
huh. That's not normal. That either that I mean that could be an indication that they just imported it
No,
and
yeah,
that we
and
just
that
got
was
it
the thing. It was
first.
all made from Japan and then brought over here, which was just so
So
strange to me. Or at least the clothing. The clothing, at least, was definitely made
yeah,
in Japan and brought over here.
uh,
Because when I looked at
yeah.
the sizing chart was different for everything else they've ever done before. Because, like, I literally bought one size up of what I normally do, and I barely fit into everything. And I was like, wow, that's really surprising.
Huh. Yeah, that's super weird, but that does tell me that we probably just got the merch before like Tokyo Game Show or whatever.
Yes,
Because
but then the
yeah.
other interesting thing is because of that, the quality I feel like was way higher than merch in their past years. So like all
Hmm.
of these screen printed T-shirts, it's the best screen printing like you could possibly do for sure. Like it's not the kind that's going to chip off or fade. It's printed on there really seamlessly. Like all the shirts are fantastically done. Like they're all really high quality. So like even though I think the idea of paying $30+ for a T-shirt is hilarious, it oddly is like yeah, but like in this kind of an example, it's kind of worth it. Because I think the only shirt you got was like the one from the concert, right?
No, I don't even think I bought that. I like literally whenever I asked for your help buying more stuff, that like that was the stuff that I didn't
So
get.
so
I mean, that's
like
all.
even the concert merch, that like that towel and the shirt were all made in Japan.
Huh.
It was all really
I gotta
really
look at.
interesting how like that was sort of like split up with it. So like because I had only run into this at another booth I was looking at buying stuff, which was the Inti Crates booth. And I had looked at their stuff, and there was
Uh,
like, "Oh, hey, yeah, like, what do you have left?" And there's like, "Oh, we have this, this, and this." And I was like, "Oh, cool. What are the sizes?" And he's like, "Oh, it's this, but only in Japanese sizes." And I'm like, "Oh, well, well, sucks to be a fat American today, but at least I learned it the hard way." But it was just one of those funny things of like, yeah, like I feel like that's something they probably should have like let people know a little bit more ahead of time, but also at the same time, it's better that like if your biggest complaint is merch is a little tight on me is better than it felt like kind of like iffy because I know in past years the merch quality could kind of differ in terms of really good or really kind of like leaving some room for desire, but like at least everything I ended up picking up, I was like, oh yeah, this actually like is pretty legit in terms of feeling. With the exception of, I will say,
yeah.
I never changed my mind on the portable charger. That always made me laugh at how cheap that looked.
Sorry, you cut out for me. I didn't hear what what you
I would
said.
say the portable charger always made me laugh at how cheap that looked and felt.
Yeah, I think I talked like three people into buying literally anything else. Because when I was in line, I was like, I get that it's a funny joke that she's a robot, but she's also a charger. But like you can do so much better. Because I could make this art for this. No offense to whoever designed it, but
Oh, I
it
mean,
could have
dude,
just been
I
like,
wouldn't as a fellow graphic designer, I would not even call that designing. That's literally they just put
yeah,
all two logos on a black charger. But like, I will say though,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I do have one other thing that like was a complaint, but I never bought any, so I never felt that bad about it. All the posters screamed someone made these all at a FedEx office like 2 days before the convention. They all felt like
Hmm.
super, like not bad, but like for $16, it was the most run of the mill 11 by 17 glossy print paper you've ever felt in your life. It was not special.
I would agree with the band or the concert one. I actually haven't like I haven't even bothered like looking or feeling the other ones. They're still rolled up. I just but the actually no The weird thing about the concert one is that it feels like it's actually printed on a slightly thicker pound paper, and I didn't understand why because it wasn't printed on poster paper or typical poster paper anyway.
Yeah,
It was really
which
weird.
is extra funny because like the Persona 5 Tactica poster that they gave away at the panel, that's a really nice thick poster paper that's like a larger print
Huh.
size. It's literally like almost twice the size of the ones they made you pay for. And that was one they were giving away for free. Like um which like hey, I was like, hey, I'm glad I have a whole bunch of these now, but like comparing like the one I got like 500 of for free versus the one that was $16 a pop, it really made you just kind of wonder, be like, huh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Hmm.
guess actually while we're kind of going over merch, do you like at least remember everything you kind of picked up while you were there from the Atlus either store or the concert?
Yeah, actually, from the store itself, I grabbed the rug, which I no regrets
How
there.
did
I
you
love the
bring the
rug.
rug back?
So literally, like you were there when I was like waiting for to pick up my merch, and I never got a chance to pick it up. What ended up happening was I asked the artist Persona and Black to like pick it up for me, and they had to do it. And I think that it sold out that first day too, right? Like they didn't hold back stock, which I think is really weird. Usually they hold stock back for like the other days.
Yeah,
But
they had a crazy supply of stock. The skateboard deck and the rug were the only thing that sold out all 4 days.
oh. Well, I got it. I got well, at least I know the rug exists for sure because I have it. And it's nice. It's a little bit bigger than the Persona 4 one, but I just like the Phantom Rug logo. It's like I don't know. Did I say Phantom Rug? I meant Phantom
I mean, listen,
Thing.
I thought that was a good pun. I'll say this. So the rug was in the store on like the skate deck. The rug actually felt like pretty good quality. I thought like for
Yeah.
bang for your buck in terms of it, like that's like a pretty like nice like throw in like a living room kind of rug or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm putting it in my closet with all of the other things that I'm probably never gonna use, but I really liked it. And then I also grabbed the posters. Like I said, I haven't actually looked through them. I got the Shujin shoulder mini bag, and that one was a winner. I actually started using that for work yesterday because I like to bring my just like my charger and like basically my chapstick to work. And I was like, oh, this is like the perfect size for that. Um,
It's interesting and like I liked the quality of the mini bag more than I thought I would. The only weird
yeah,
question was like, why is that $30? But the fanny pack that's literally 2/3 its size had just as much pocket space, and it was free.
yeah. I understand the incentive thing that they were doing because they did that last year too with
The
I
although
think it was
the P25 mini bag was like that's super freebie quality. Like I have that. Like
yeah,
that thing. Like that's like the most. You got that by going to like an LA Rams game and you're the first 5,000 people. Like that was like one of those freebie
yeah,
items.
yeah. It literally it screamed. If you remember the Persona 5 collector's edition bag, it was basically that again.
Man, though,
But
I'll say
but
this:
the mini
I miss the days of the really big, obnoxious shoulder bag backpack that they used to do for like through P5 to dancing. Like you remember the really big, like obnoxious anime
yeah.
convention bags? Like those were so good to use.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they didn't do that for this year. I was kind of anticipating. I was excited actually because I was like, oh, we're gonna get a SMT version of that, like a big old Jack Frost bag or something. And yeah, they didn't do anything this year, which is wild. Those bags aren't great after the con. Like they're literally just convenient for the con. But
What was funny though is like because we had the empty luggage we brought, my wife was like, because at all the different swag stations, they had a lot of those different like because like all these companies who make those are just giving them away by like the hundreds. Like so, my wife was
yeah,
like, grab as many as possible, and I was like, why? Like we really only need like one or two of each design. And she's like, no, it's for my mom because her mom will use those giant bags either when she's grocery shopping or like in the garden to like get large.
oh,
And I was like, that's so funny. Like I never thought about that. Like that's such a large good bag to like just throw something in you don't care about cleaning cleaning later, as opposed to like where me thinking of it from like a use of like, oh yeah, like you with your chapstick and like charger. It's
Collecting.
like, yeah, it's like you have like
Yeah,
two things you're gonna put in there.
yeah. That is funny. When you put it that way, I'm like, maybe I should have actually made the effort to grab some of those
Oh,
free
don't
bags.
worry. I at this point I feel legally worried about going back to LA with how many things we stole from that convention center. Like we took so many free
Not
things.
so. They were free. It's like if you go to Costco and grab that extra sample, you're not a bad person. It's it's
I'm
part of the package.
only like justifying it to myself because I've been giving them away to so many people. But like, I forget if I
Hmm.
had a chance to tell you this. So when I picked up our order, I asked them the day we ordered. I said, "Hey, if you could, I'd love to just get one or two extra fanny packs because it was you got a fanny pack that was SMT 30th anniversary branded for every $130."
Yes,
And I
steep order, by the way.
pretty steep, but then you realize that's like three shirts and a poster, so like not that steep at the
Yeah.
same time.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough.
so what was funny was, oh, but I will say, little underrated thing, the blue Atlas Sega bag. That's a great little bag. I like that little tote bag. That's a good little
Actually,
collector's
yeah,
item.
I used that today to buy when I went to Trader Joe's.
Bro, that's like the kind of bag that if I got called out on, I'd be like, oh man, it's a good nerd bonus points on that one. But
Yeah.
um, I asked them the day I ordered it, and they said, nah, dude, the best I can do is give you one. It's one per order. And I'm like, and I looked at him and I said, you wanted me to make 9 orders of this? Would that have been easier for you? And he's like, I'm sorry, man, that's all I can do. And I came back the next day because literally when we left, I like I said, I was order. Do you remember your order number? Mine was, I think we were in the 1400s.
I was in the like I thought it was earlier, but I was like in the 400s.
Okay,
So
so
yeah.
I was still pretty early. Like I said, order placed sub first hour of it being open, which is hilarious.
Hmm.
But like my order was physically not ready until 3 days after the convention started. We didn't pick it up until Monday when it was done. And
Wow.
like to be fair, it was literally the largest order they had. So I understood it taking longer, but I also brought an entire fucking suitcase just to store all of it, which I then never
Yeah.
needed to bring. So it was one of those funny things of
Um,
like, I regretted bringing the suitcase, although jumping ahead to the concert, thank God they had a bag check. Oh my God, I would have hated
yep.
just lugging that luggage around the whole concert. But,
Yeah.
um, what had happened was when I picked up the order, the employees were super nice, like picking it up that day. They were like, they were like, "Hey, is yours going to be really obnoxiously large?" And I said, 100%. And they're like, "Okay, perfect. I know where it is," because it was so large. It was 5 Atlas bags. So those little blue bags, we'd filled up 5 of them. And the best part was when he gave me the receipt, he said, "I guarantee we left something out. Just double check right now." So we went over to the Footy booth, and for 30 minutes we had to triple check everything. And like to their credit, they had actually done a great job. They'd only left out 1 shirt out of 9. I think I bought 9 different shirts,
Oh.
and they'd only left 1 shirt out, and they left all the posters out. And that was it. And then I was like, that's not bad, because especially I would have hated to have the posters get scrunched up in there. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
that's actually pretty good. So then I gave them the receipt, but I asked, can I please have a copy of this receipt? Because I was like, I need this receipt for the rest of my life, just this giant $1,000+ Atlas receipt, which I will never have any rightful excuse of. But I wanted
Hmm.
a copy of the receipt, but then what was funny was, no joke, in one of the bags they gave us, it was just full of the fanny packs. They gave me like 15 fanny packs.
Oh wow, nice.
So then at that point, I was like, oh, I'll just then start giving these away to everybody because like all my friends who had like come with it, I wanted to like give them something because I was like, God forbid you spend $130 on just the fanny pack. But I was like, oh,
Hmm.
that's like a cool gift to give out and stuff with it. And what was so funny was our mutual friend Marcus, he was like the one who was like, dude, I need this. Before I even gave it to him, he's like, this is his use case for it. He was like, I'm gonna look so cool using this to hold my deck box at locals. Just like, and I was like, if I don't see a picture or video of you pulling your deck box at Flesh and Blood out with this fucking fanny pack, It
Magic
was
the Gathering, no less, right?
it was just one of the stupidest like requests for it. It's like, oh man, I have to have it. But like it was just one of those funny things. Like everything we picked up, it was fun. The one thing I will say I could not believe how big it was the denim jacket for P5 was like the size of my chest and a half. It was so large. And I mean, I get it, like denim doesn't fold
Really?
up easily, but
Mm-hmm.
that looked way better in person than the website made it look. Like the stitching of all the Phantom Thief members. And by the way, shout out, they actually had like they even had Kasumi on there as well. So I thought that was kind of a cool touch.
Really?
But yeah, it was like that, like all the merch like that was there. I was very very impressed by. The only like I think universally kind of poo-pooed upon thing outside of the skateboard was who and what do we blame, like I know no one will actually care, but like I genuinely need to know, like LaRue, what the hell happened to those trading cards? Like what happened from just random give us $8 for 5 cards to just
Yeah.
here's this weird monstrosity product.
Yeah, it sucks because I really want to like I like you already know I just love quirky dumb things. Like if it's not the smartest thing and it's kind of weird, that's like an instant buy for me. But then yeah, the price to card ratio was way off.
The quality
Um
was laughable to the nth degree.
yeah, cuz almost every card that I got was dinged in the corners and I'm like, well, how how does that happen? Oh, one of the weirdest things is three of my packs weren't actually sealed. Like I guess it was so hot that the sealing like undid itself.
Yeah, that's like the weird thing about the material with it. Like you could tell this was not made at a place that designs trading cards, because like the
Yeah,
paper, not the paper, but like the foil that they used is not like the kind of like flexible like trading card booster pack foil you get. It was really rigid and hard. Like it
yeah,
was like glued on almost as opposed to like hard pressed on. So it was just super
yeah,
weird of just like and like what was so funny was like literally the foil holding the cards was thicker than the cardboard that the cards were made of. Like the way I've described it to people is like those SMT cards felt like they were made from recycled like cereal box cardboard.
it did feel like someone quite yeah like that like someone literally just cut up some cereal box cardboard and put stickers on the front and back and we're like okay these are limited edition now.
Well, and then like what's so weird is like we didn't know until the day of that it was part of a set. It was over 50 different cards, and then there's holographic
Hmm.
ones, and then different chase variants. And then what was so weird
Yep.
about it though was like, why not? I mean, like obviously you can still buy it now on the Shop Atlas site with it, but like not
No,
like,
they're sold out.
oh, they sold out finally. Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
Like my process with it was like this: like why not just do the Bandai thing and just charge us like 100 something bucks for all of them, even? Because it's like, who's going to buy all of these? Like this is not a thing that
Yeah.
like we're gonna want to like randomly collect. Like you're not gonna like find someone doing like, God, I hope not. Like you're not gonna fucking find like card game YouTubers opening up Kraken packs of this. Like no one's really gonna care outside of the fans. So it's just such a weird little thing that's on there. But like then the other one as well is like nothing on the cards and nothing on the um like packaging of the cards indicates that it's part of a set.
Yeah.
So it's
It,
like the
no,
whole
they're
thing
not
is like
numbered or
it's almost like it wasn't even designed with collectors in mind, which makes you then just wonder, okay, who was this for? Because clearly this is not like a product that's going to go out to retail.
hmm.
So like it was just such a weird thing. Like so like for you, from finding out to it to opening it, like what was your thoughts about it? And like who did you pull, by the way? Because I thankfully I stayed strong. I only bought one pack, and I even then still regretted buying my one pack. But at least I have it for history's sake. But how many did you
Yeah.
get, and who have you pulled at, if anyone interesting?
So the first thing was I like calculated how much I would have to buy in order to like get all
Oh God.
53 if I was lucky enough. And it was like it was ridiculous. It's like $140 would be like around the minimum. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not spending that much on these. So I bought five, which are still expensive. Five is like almost $60, and I got a couple of good ones. I got a Nanashi, I got a Flynn, a Demi Fiend, and apparently I was lucky because I think one of the designers replied to my tweet about it and was like, "Oh, you pulled five rares out of a pack of or out of five packs. That's like really lucky." And I'm like, "What the?" Usually card games like the each pack is you're guaranteed a rare. Like it might not be hollow, but it like you're guaranteed a rare.
Yeah,
So it's really
I've
weird to me
seen
that.
about 25 packs opened. Every single one has a rare, at least in terms of it being shiny. Did you pull any of the
Hmm.
like alt gold looking foily ones?
Now I gotta double check. I got them in front of me now. Yeah, I got the gold Nanashi, gold Flynn, gold Demi Fiend.
Yeah,
That's
so
that's
that
it.
that is rare. Like, yeah, those are a much higher like chance as opposed to the regular foil. But like, I saw those ones in person and I went, okay, the gold looks okay, but the regular shiny foiling is so dark. It actually is like a worse looking color of the card.
Well, the problem with it is either way they're scratched. Like
Oh
the
yeah, all
foil
of them are.
print.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you
you
know
could
what it
tell that they.
feels like? It feels like those
Mhm.
old, really like. Remember those old Pokemon Tops cards that would always get damaged? That's what
Oh,
they feel like.
those are those are the ones my aunt when she was like, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, "Oh, I want Pokemon cards." She got me those.
Like, damn it, these are only going to be worth money in 30 years, not now.
Yeah, but they do have that exact feeling. You're right. It just like I don't know how they got all scratched in the way they are because it's the foil. It's they're scratched on the foil, not the cards itself. Is what I'm saying. Like the cards are scratched and dinged, but the foil is scratched in a way that like indicates that they were like scraped on top of each other in one direction, like each every single time. So
Yeah, my guess is that all the cards, whether they were hollow or not, were all cut on top of each other as opposed to printed, cut, sorted. They probably just saved
yeah,
on cutting by doing it that way, but it's just so weird. Were there any like cards you wished like did you get the Black Frost or Jack Frost at all?
yeah. I got a non hollow Black Frost, and then the one I really wanted was I got my boy from SMT5, Gustav. He's the one I really wanted. I don't know if they made
Oh.
a hollow. Yeah, I don't know if they
No,
made a
so
hollow of him, but
any demon that's hollow is only hollow. There's not a normal and then a
oh,
hollow.
okay.
Thank God. That the last thing this thing needed was double variants.
I mean, I would definitely like kill for Hollow Gustav because he was the one I wanted when I was like, okay, they're having mostly SMT5. Just give me a Gustav and I'm good. And he was like in the first pack I pulled, and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
But it's
but I still can't get over though like how funny of a thing and like what was funny about it was like every time I posted about it I was like, oh, maybe
no one
people.
knew.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared about these. No one was like, oh my god, I can't. SMT trading cards, please let me buy. No, like it felt like it was just like sucking all the oxygen out of the room, like which was funny. But the only thing I just couldn't get over was that Atlus printed a Mara trading card after they had just told Bandai not even like less than a year ago that they are not able to print more on a trading card and sell it.
What?
Blew my mind. So there's a couple different restrictions Bandai had when they were doing the resurrection like set. Mara was
Hmm.
one of them. Obviously, like any of the super genitalia heavy designs were a no go. Versus like a couple ones, like obviously Satan and stuff kind of gets away with it because obviously like you don't really think of having like six pairs of tits as like overtly sexual versus just it's a penis. Um,
Yeah,
and then relying heavily on Indian and like Hishnu deities and stuff. So you couldn't print any of the like Indian gods.
that explains why it was just the last set from that
Yep.
series because I was wondering why that set. Like, there's nothing particularly anniversary about that final set. It wasn't well loved or anything. But now that you
Yes.
said that, it explains why. Because literally every other set has every other thing you said.
Yep, and it was one of those things where it was like it wasn't banned because they got in trouble. It was banned because they thought Atlus might get in trouble for it, which is really funny when it comes to a
Really?
licensing thing. Yeah, because it's like, well, you're just licensing it. Like it's not like you're the one making it. It'd be Bandai to get in
Yeah.
trouble.
That is some very something logic.
Yes. But like I also wouldn't be shocked because when I was talking about this, I was literally comparing the Bandai card stock to the AX cards. I was like, which obviously is apples to oranges, but like it was just so funny
Hmm.
like comparing because like who like seriously who would have thought in 2023 we got two different SMT trading card games?
Yeah.
And
Well, you definitely got to put the 30th anniversary ones from Anime Expo in very large quotes because
yes, it is.
yeah.
Partly, it's yeah. I'm not gonna be doing much trading or carding or gaming with any of them.
If you wanted to collect more, there's a guy on eBay right now selling 2 packs for $100 each.
What? That is a I'll I mean, hey, I'll trade him two fanny packs for a pack. How's that sound?
I
Um
mean, I'll be honest. I even regardless of the quality, just the quirky nature of it did make me want to have more of them. I just
I,
wish, yeah, I just wish there wasn't so many production related issues and quality issues.
yeah, and it's like it's a shame because like it's a thing that if done right, I would love to eat up. Like I would love to like have different themed sets because like I've gotten way more into trading card games recently over the last couple years of the pandemic and stuff. And what's so funny is like there's definitely a market for it, but it's like yeah, this is not the
Mhm.
way to do it. Like if this is a test, I hope you learn a lot of lessons from this because this is not what you want people to think is the takeaway.
Yeah, and it sucks because overall, I will say that the merch department or whoever designed a lot of stuff, I saw one of them kind of like stood up and took some credit for some of the designs. But they did a very good job in some places. Like continuing with the stuff I bought the Kodore flat brim hat, the one with the black frost on it, and it's by far my favorite Atlas related hat. And I've bought a lot of Atlas hats. Like,
It was also a really nice touch. The Japanese in the back of
yes,
the like having that on there was a really like cool little like touch.
yeah, and it's the quality of it is very nice. Like the only other hat that comes close is like the Jinpei hat, and that's another Atlas West thing, not an Atlas Japan thing. So it's kind of weird. But I'm trying to think of what else I bought from them. I think the only other things I bought were from the actual concert though.
Yeah, and we can go over the concert a little bit. I guess I want to wrap up the booth really quick. At the very least, with the two photo booths, I will say kind of weird how I feel like the cooler photo op was the Jack Frost one that had no prize, no line, and no printable picture. You could just stand next to this
Yep.
giant Jack Frost statue, but like I don't know if like you noticed this, but like the coolest part about that booth was all the original Japanese posters they'd brought over and laid on the wall.
Yeah, I was like, man, I could probably get away with just taking one of these off the wall.
Yeah, the like booth design for the whole like SMT 30th anniversary was like such a really nice touch, and even like the fact that like
It
obviously
was,
SMT 5's like pretty
yeah,
old, it was still cool seeing like all this giant art for it kind of everywhere with it of just like really and obviously it's got to be tough because like they're trying to split it between advertising for Yakuza, Fantasy Star, Persona, as well as like a anniversary, but no game tied to the anniversary. So that probably makes it a little bit
yeah.
harder for them. But like, I liked at least the cool big Jack Frost statue, which like, but I may be mistaken, but isn't that just the Jack Frost from their old Anaheim statue lobby?
I believe so because it's definitely not it's not the Japanese one. The
No.
Japanese one is a little smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there was a Japanese guy at the convention, and he had mentioned that like he had seen a different Jack Frost in like I want to say I want to say it was like Tokyo Game Show or something, and he was just like, "Oh, this one's better," and I'm like, "Yes, I know, I want this
I
one."
and yeah, considering how dead the booth was, I was like, please, let me just take this little guy here. So like, it was a shame they didn't really have any like kind of giveaway things for it. Like, also hindsight's 2020. I know they made a lot more money selling them. You know what would have been a way cooler idea? Make the pack of cards be what you get for doing the photo booth. You get a random pack of
Oh,
cards. That would have made a like that being a little freebie would have like changed my opinion on those things like tenfold, and would have had people
yeah,
actually wanting to go over there.
yeah, that's actually a really good idea because I love the cards in isolation, but then when you factor in the cost and then the production issues, especially the like not even like I wouldn't like basic stuff like the rarity values, numbers for like which card it is. Like one out of 55 would be or 53 would be nice. Like those numbers would be like a godsend. But if you gave those to me for free, then suddenly they're like the best thing at the booth.
And I feel by giving them away for free, they would have printed them in higher quantity. God knows higher quantity, and the God knows the quality wouldn't have gone down. So like then it would have
Hmm.
been a thing of like everyone would have had a pack, and it would have made it trading a lot easier. Because the one thing no one was doing
Yeah.
with those cards all weekend, no one's gonna fucking trade those things because no one's gonna have any duplicates.
Yep. The thing is, I think this is a repeat of something they did in the previous Anime Expo, where they had those plushes, the small blind bag Frost plushes. It was like Black Frost, Jack Frost, Raiho, and something else. I can't remember what the other one was. But
Yeah.
maybe it was Pyro Jack or something. But either way,
Mhm.
like people actually did trade those. Like people would open theirs and then they would talk to each other and they would be like, "Oh, I want like, do you have this one? I don't have that." And then they did the same thing for the 25th anniversary for Persona, where you can get those keychains and people would trade to get the protagonist they wanted. I think they were trying to get that to happen, but the everything that we talked about was an issue.
Yeah, and I mean, like, so, but besides that, though, then the Persona 5 Tactica booth, which was so funny, was like, that was a much higher production value photo booth, but it was literally just you taking a picture on a fancy photo machine, holding up a board saying triple attack to a poster. Like, that was kind of it. Like, there wasn't any, like, interactive element or anything, like, kind of really going into it. And then, like, what I thought was so
Yeah.
funny about it was just, like, that those all ran out on day one, and then that line was completely dead. Like both photo op lines were completely dead after day one. So it was just kind of like sad, like how half this booth just kind of got ignored and everyone went to the merch line. Oh yeah, that reminds me to bring this about 90 minutes ago earlier. So on day two, they were like, oh, let's just let everyone into the so like the line led up to the merch store and then you stopped and were let in waves. Then in day
Hmm.
two, they said, nah, fuck that. Let's just make the store more of the line, and just made the entire store a zigzag line going through everything, and it was a complete
Mm,
mess. A complete mess.
yeah.
And then day three, they're like, nope, we're not gonna do that anymore. Now you have to have an order before even going in line.
Jeez. I
Yeah.
mean, it just sounds like they were mostly just inundated with orders.
Oh, yeah, like
Um,
it makes you wonder. It's like, well, how many orders did you expect to have? Because like on day four, oh my god, what was it? On day four, when I picked it up, they had orders up to 4,900 done, and I was next to someone who had just placed one in the 7,000s. And I'm like,
oh,
realistically, how do
geez.
you expect to get this done? Because it's not like they can just start packing orders when the hall closes. They have to get out of there.
Yeah. So then from your perspective, what was the the packedness like each day?
It lowered a lot for sure, which was kind of funny that like the stock never dictated it. I think it was just as the convention keeps going. Like I think one of the funny things about Anime Expo, and like we'll definitely talk about this, is like the like sardines feeling or like the how like the wave of people it is. What's funny about that though is it goes in two waves. Like so I'm not going to be like Twitter and give you shit about like cuz you had made a tweet that like I saw someone was giving you shit about being like, hey, look at how unsafe this is. That's like just saying, hey, it's hot in LA. You're right. You might like being hot,
Yeah,
but you're not wrong. It's fucking like there's a lot of people there.
yeah.
But then what's funny about it is like when you see all the TikToks or the videos online saying like, "Oh my god, look at fucking Anime Expo. It's the next 28 days later." Nah, bro, that's kind of just day 1. Every other day got better. Every other day there was way more room to sit down, way more room to use. There's still
Okay.
people everywhere, but by day 4, it was like, "Oh yeah, it definitely had last day of convention vibes."
I mean, putting that into perspective that way, that's good to know because it is usually more packed on the first day, but that was definitely the most packed it's been on the first day.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of think that at this point, Atlas either needs a bigger booth or they just need a better system for managing it. Then,
I would say at the very least like either overpack or just don't even do online orders and just do it's like because I was at a lot of different booths having to like either pick up different things or look at how different license system worked like just have it be here's what I want, wait in line, get the thing, and then leave because I get why you wanting to do it online, but they're just having such a backlog of orders. Like what was so funny was like so like you experienced this by having like Persona and like Black Cat Your Order. If you were there on the first day and you only had a day badge, then and only then would they get your order ready for you. If you told them, "Hey, I only have today to get this," then they would get it done for you. But it's like that's not a system that's sustainable. Like imagine
not
on day
only
4, the final hour, like they just had to shut off like orders at a certain point, right? Like they had to.
yeah, yeah, and the thing that makes even what you said right now kind of ridiculous to me is that that was not an advertised system. They definitely didn't say that because if they did say that, then I wouldn't have had the issue that I needed to have someone get it. And the other thing is, I knew at least 3 people who were like, "Well, what do I do because I can't get the it's already closed, but I'm leaving today. What do I do?" And I'm like,
Yeah, like
I don't
Hagane,
know.
like Hagane had that similar issue with his
Yeah.
fanny pack didn't come in his order, and it was like, yeah, if you only
Yep.
plan on going to this convention for one day, like you don't go to the grocery store and they give you an IOU, and then you can't get back into the grocery store.
Yeah. So
It's
it's definitely a system that they are definitely a thing they have to completely reevaluate. And if they do something online, I actually don't think they should do online until like maybe like the second or third day, maybe if they really want to. But I think one of the biggest problems was just the lack of they didn't have as many like cash registers or people that were there to facilitate that part because in previous years it would be like 8 registers and then they'd give you your order as soon as like right then.
do you
And that was
remember how many registers were there?
I want to say it was 2, but I don't
Two,
remember.
two
Yes.
registers for over 7,000 orders.
Yeah, which is bold.
Like it, and again, I get it. Like Atlas is not like as big as they keep growing. Atlas is still not this ginormous megalithic company, but at the same time, Sega is not a company that's new to merchandising and sales. Like this is something
Yeah.
that like should have a little bit more going on with it, or at the very least, like have a little bit better production, like management. My only guess to this is they had a lot of people in the last couple of months, especially recently, leave their goods and marketing team that might have made this a little bit more of a slapdash to the finish line. But even then, it's
Hmm.
like, hey, that's on you guys. Like it's your choice to be there and to sell stuff. So like again, kind of going back to like selling stuff online. If you're going to be selling stuff online and saying I have to buy it online versus the register, your site can't be crashing on non-convention Wi-Fi like every 9 seconds I'm doing an order.
Yeah. I mean, it's still in beta, and I think it's been 2 years now. How long has the shop outlet's been open?
Listen, I'm just
I'd
shocked
say
it's lasted longer than the first time they did a shop. That's all I know about Shop Atlas. But
fair.
all in all, I was glad it was there. I'm glad the stuff they brought there, most everyone seemed really pleased with. It's the
Hmm.
first time in my life of almost 3 decades on this earth where I bought a flannel shirt and I said, "This looks cool." So they did the impossible. Congratulations.
Wait, you got the Persona 3 flannel?
No,
Or
no, no,
the
no. Not the flannel. The tie dye shirt. The tie dye shirt is
Oh,
the
right.
first tie dye shirt in my life. I didn't want to vomit at. The Saito-san art absolutely saves that thing.
Yes.
It is absolutely beautiful.
I will say I kind of regret not buying it because I think they don't have the size that I would have gotten. 'Cause I wanted to get it oversized, but I think they only have large left.
Once again,
It is. Yep.
oh no, I was
So
just
good.
saying. Yeah, once again, it's a tight fit. Time to slim down.
Yeah.
Time for skinny boy Japanese Spencer this fall. Gonna lose those lbs to fit into that shirt.
Yeah. But I mean, it did look. It was actually very like it's a very nice looking design. I think overall, like I was just surprised at the merch because it was all. It didn't feel so video gamey. Some of it is like the Kasumi shirt was one that I was like, yeah,
The Kasumi
that's just
shirt,
Kasumi.
and I only say this in the nicest way possible. I hope you understand what I mean by this, LaRue. Gave me
Mhm.
big Hot Topic vibes. Like it's the kind of shirt design you'd see in the
Yeah,
Hot Topic.
it is because it screams like you didn't play Persona 5 for Persona 5. You played it because you liked Kasumi, I guess.
Bro, all I'm saying is
Even
like if that shirt wanted to be like a real Atlus nerd shirt, it should have had on the
Mhm.
backside a Sumeri shirt. That would have been like the
Yeah,
real like that's a real Atlas fan shirt.
that would have been funny. Like even I don't know, like I think that was the only one that kind of screamed like, oh yeah, that's kind of like the like low tier nerd, I guess. Everything else felt like it was like, man, this is a wide range of like shirts that fit different personalities, and then even the Joker button up, I would have gotten it if it wasn't $50, but
When I see you next, because knowing me, I'm shocked no one else I knew bought it. I'm literally the only one I knew who bought it. I have to show you how big the buttons are. Like
Hmm,
it's maybe there's 5 buttons on the whole shirt. They're like the size of my thumb. The buttons are ginormous.
interesting. I wonder why. That is like a very weird quirk. I can't
It's
even think of a.
it's the weirdest button up I own. It is 110% the fucking cringiest, weirdest button up I've ever owned in my life. And any chance I get to wear that at work, I will be bringing that bad boy in. But yeah, like all in all though, like I was glad I got what was there. Everyone I've been sending out orders slowly but surely, like since moving. Like everyone who's been getting their
Mhm.
stuff, even the people who didn't go to AX, like the people I did group orders for, have been really loving everything with it. So like, I was glad I was able to like help out at least in that way with it. I will say this though, my wife beat this into me, but also I 100%. I'm never doing group orders again. Unless like I get bribed heavily, never doing group orders ever, ever, ever again, especially for cross country.
Yeah,
The
that
amount
it's a recipe for
the
disaster.
amount of stress alone I had of not crumpling posters just about aged me 5 years.
That's yes. That's like already the biggest fear. Then the other thing is like, what happens if you send one of the wrong posters across country to the wrong person?
Yeah, like the one guy who ordered the P3P Tartarus like posters, like, hey, I need you to mail that back to me, and please don't fuck it up. But
I think I've only done that once, by the way, and it was only 3 people, and I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I'm sorry. Come to Anime Expo yourself.
it makes me feel way happier though for all the times because back in the day when she would go a lot, I would always bribe and beg Drew to get me stuff from the Atlus booth. So Drew would
Hmm.
always hit me up because I'd be like, there was always at least 1 or 2 shirts I wanted in the past, and weirdly I haven't gotten anything from them in at least 4 or 5 years, but like those like early like post golden like from like 2012 to 2016 there was always at least 1 or 2 shirts I wanted, so I have a
Hmm.
couple handful of those and stuff like things that I'd asked her for. But yeah, it gave me a much higher perspective of like, yeah, if I have someone who I know who wants a shirt, go for it. But like realistically thinking, how the hell was I gonna ship that skateboard now? I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of glad the skateboard sold out.
Oh, no, no, no. Sold out. We don't even know.
What if it's like it's like someone like we're gonna have like one of those weird like news stories in a year where like the guy it's like some like intern just stole you know what it is? It's the intern who posted the Instagram leaked trailers. He also took all the skate decks and that he's just
He
sitting.
was like, nothing left to lose.
It's true, man. It's all the union discrepancies. He's like, I gotta stockpile these skateboards while my paychecks get stipend. But that's about all I gotta say, at least on my end with the Atlus booth. For you
Yeah.
as your own though, did you get to check out any of the other companies at all before the concert and meetup we talk about?
No, actually, I literally was just it was like work for me. It was buy the merch, run back to my car, then I like took one of those scooters to the to the meetup.
Which, by the way, because we were like maybe 5 or 10 minutes late to the meetup. At what point did you guys realize the meetup was not going to be next to the food trucks? It was going to be underneath the food trucks.
So for me, like I had scoped it out a while, like a little bit into it. I was like, okay, well, this meetup is gonna be a little bit of a disaster. I don't know if anyone's gonna show up because yeah, it the map says it's by the food trucks, and I'm like that it logically doesn't make any sense. Like literally all the other groups, because as I showed up, there was a group taking pictures, and I was like, hey, are you guys? I forgot the meetup number, but I was like, are you at the is this meetup? And they're like, yes. So I was like, okay, well, if this large group is here for the meetup, then like for a previous meetup, then this has to be the spot. And it would just be trickling in. Like people would be like, well, I went up over there and no one was there. Or I would just see people wandering around trying to find it. And I'm like, hey, Kasumi, come here. But it was really weird. I think that was probably like the worst location I could have chosen because of the inconvenience. Funny enough, on the way out, I saw a really beautiful like by these stairs like meetup location that I guess always happens every year, and there was a huge JoJo group there, and I'm like, okay, like we're not going to be as big as the JoJos, but we'll definitely use this space next time.
Yeah, so because this is what your second or third year doing the Atlas meetup, like as an official meetup thing.
I want it's definitely the third in a row. I used to do it like here and there. Like I had like 2 years I did it, then I didn't do it 1 year, then I did it another. But I've had a three-peat so far. I want to kind of keep it going.
So like when you're booking it, do they let you pick your spot and time, or how does that work from the AX side?
Yeah, so they give you the aerial view of the venue, and they're like, okay, well these are all the meetup spots. These are like the size ranges for each spot, and that's what I did. I was like, okay, well this meetup spot is like always in this middle area, and that's where it's pinned on the map that I looked at when I chose it. And then come the day of, I'm like, this is not the meetup spot. Like this is not right.
And I mean,
And
I will
yeah,
say this though, for the place you moved it to, infinitely better because it was actually shaded.
yes. I it was real. I felt bad for the actual people taking the pictures because they would have to stand in the sun. But everyone who was taking the pictures of those cosplayers got to be in the shade.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like, was this the first time, or at Atlas West on this before, where they actually like included you as part of their things Atlas at AX? Because I noticed that
They
after the meetup, that like if you looked on their official like website, like for the 5 people who look at the Atlas West news posting, like they actually had you at the very bottom as listed as being like, hey, go to the Atlas like meetup at this spot and this time.
that's so funny because I didn't even know that till just now.
It's still there, yeah. If you go to the website for their AX plans, at the very bottom of the blog post, it actually has the map, the time, and like the name of the meetup.
That's insane. Why didn't they tell me that? It's right there, and it's literally two sentences. Oh, that's so funny.
I mean,
Um,
hey, it's at least on brand.
yeah, that's so funny. that's the first time they've ever done that.
You know what that means? That means you're officially you are officially in by proxy a hoster of an Atlas event.
I guess so, but that is so funny. It's such a footnote that it's like, even if you were, it's the there I am.
Is it the like SpongeBob pointing on the finger like look there I am Gary there I am.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
got
know what
Mike
you need to
Wazowski
do
and I
for
got
like the next like 48 hours? Just make that like your Twitter like cover image. Just like put that. It's just like that little byline. That's my claim to fame.
that's so funny. I wish they had said something because we probably would have had more people. We had a pretty good turnout though. That was actually
Yeah,
surprising.
everyone
Usually,
everyone who showed up was super nice. I got to talk to a pretty good decent amount of them for as late as I was to it, but
yeah.
it was really nice seeing a bunch of people I'd only ever met like through Twitter, like Liam or whatever, and even just like a whole bunch of other people who's like it was really funny of like how many times over the weekend I had someone come up to me being like,
You're Big
are
Spencer.
you that guy? And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, dude. I don't know how out of a sea of white guys with brown hair you caught me, but yeah, you got me.
Yeah, that's the one thing about anime. Well, this year, because I've gone to like every year, and the only time people would ever stop me is if I was in a cosplay that was recognizable. They'd be like, "Wow, that's a nice Demonica," and that's it. But this year, I felt like I was a rock star because I saw them have doing that to you, where they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're SMTN, you're Spencer, you're the Spencer." I'm like, "Dang!" And then they were doing it to me too. They're like, "Oh, you're LaRue," and I'm like, "I am."
I hope someone
The weird.
besides you and me, like, did you notice Hagane when you saw him, or did you already know it was him when you met him first?
I I already knew it was him. Yeah, he was one of the ones I just knew it. I already knew.
I
Same thing with.
first saw him in person at the line for the VIP concert, and I said the only guy I know who would have that T-shirt lives in South America. So if that's not Hagane, I'm gonna like my mind will be blown. And he turned around and it was him, and I was like, oh, thank God. Because I was like, yeah, like
I'm gonna,
he's the only one I would know who would have that like Jack Frost print shirt. Because like no one else I knew
yep.
bought that T-shirt at all.
Yeah, and it's out of print now, so it's like it's even more expensive than it already was.
But yeah, it was very weird getting to see everybody, which like especially funny when I think about like, oh my god, yeah, in the 11 something years of doing this, how after 10 years this was randomly running into you waiting in line for a Persona 5 Tactica keychain is the first time I ever see you.
Yeah, it was funny because like when you had like I have like a pretty good situational awareness, so I was like, someone's getting eerily close to me, and then I think you just held out your hand. You were like, "You're the Rue, right?" And I was like, "Oh my God, it's Spencer."
It was like there was a 50-50 chance I was gonna go up to you and the only thing I was gonna say was like, is this the line for the is this the line for the
Yeah,
booth?
but that's gonna be our meetup story.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like, it's just so funny because like I think of some people who I've either known for longer or shorter that I either got to meet more, and other times like the fact that Marcus lived like half an ocean away, and I've now seen him like 5 times versus like all the things you and I could have gone to but never ran into each other at because of how I just so rarely ever go to like that part of California because like all like
Yeah,
basically by the time I started talking to you, I stopped going to like E3. I never went to AX or any other things like that. So it was just kind of funny of like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I'm sure like this again, like because of the concert was probably like the big thing that was ever gonna like lead to so many of us coming and meet. Because like what was funny is like I hadn't talked to the Velvet Network in so long that because
yeah,
we've all just been so busy. I forgot he was coming. So when I saw him, I was like, "Oh my god!" Because like I've only known him for like 2 years. I'm like, I just legitimately thought I'd have to fly down to where he lives to ever meet him.
yeah. I actually never thought I'd meet him either. And he also kind of like fell off the face of the earth. So I didn't even like I haven't talked to him in like so long, almost a year or so. And then yeah, there he was.
Yeah, it was the only thing that like, and again, like this kind of just has echoed so much for the whole convention. There's never enough time. I've never felt time go so fast in 5 days in my whole life. Of like, even if it was just for the concert and the meetup, I feel like it still would have been like, oh man, I never had enough time to like meet up and see other people or do other things. It was just such a whirlwind of like, oh hey, there's this person, there's this, there's that. Like, I can't imagine if
Yeah,
I had actually tried to like interview people and do other things like I normally do. It could, like, I could barely handle working the convention as just someone looking at everything, let alone trying to
yeah,
like do other stuff.
yeah. This it felt almost like a family reunion, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. Which, I mean, I'm glad out of all the years it had to happen, it was on the anniversary year, so, like, that made it a lot cooler.
Mm-hmm. And it was just one of those things where everyone was just like there was such a like electricity in the air that like everyone was just in like a good mood. It was so fun, like seeing how giddy people were for just being at something that happens every year, but this year was a little special, you know.
Was there anyone you were amazed you somehow didn't see? Who was there, but you somehow didn't see him? Because for me, it had to be Rabby. Rabby, I've known for, like, maybe a year. I knew he was going to be there. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to run into this guy. And
Uh-huh.
I literally didn't see him until like I saw a week later on Facebook. He was like, "Oh, here's all my Anime Expo pictures." I'm like, "Where were you?" It's like, how did I see everyone but this one guy?
Yeah, there was a couple of people who were like like I see them on Twitter all the time, and I was like, "Oh, you're going, I'll see you there." And I literally didn't see a single one. So like, it was one of those things where like, man, like I guess it was just a time for like the people I knew long term to show up because that's pretty much all the people, everyone that I saw was like the people I had known for like almost decades at this point.
Did you have anyone that either wasn't able to go or didn't go that they had like FOMO after? Because like the two big ones,
Everyone.
I mean, I know, like that's such a hard, but like the two big ones for me, like because again, how much it felt like a reunion though. Like I felt really sad
Mhm.
that, especially because of how close she lives. I really wish Drew could have come, because I hadn't seen
Yeah.
her in so long. And like posting pictures, she was like, "Oh man, I should have stopped playing World of Warcraft for 15 minutes and hung out with everybody." And I was like, "Yes, you should have. That sounds like a great idea." But it was just one of those funny things of just being like, even these people you haven't seen in forever, just being like, "Oh man, like I
Hmm.
like you." It's weirdly more nostalgic the more of you all get together, because it's I like I think back of like one of those first big ones of like how many people I met all the way back in like God 2015 at that like Taiyokan
Yeah.
concert, who I only met because of the Facebook group and us all going to that concert, who I now talk to almost weekly just because of that. And so it's just one of those funny things where then when you all start getting together, it's like it's never really enough, because it's like, oh, because like, even when you think you'll have everybody, you'll be like, oh man, this person should have come, or this person I wish they could have made it, or blah blah blah, and it just like gets that
Yeah.
point where it's like it it like because I've had this thought before, and like I feel like it could work, but it would just be really hard and expensive to plan. But I do genuinely think it could like be a profitable idea. I genuinely think that if we just tried making a Atlus fan themed like convention and like aimed pretty low in terms of like attendance cap, I feel like it could be pretty well sized, staffed, and like pretty popular. Outside of the fact that
Hmm.
I've talked to a lot of people who run conventions, and oh my god, it's so much fucking work. But like the masochistic part of me is like, I would also love to do that as an excuse to get as many of these like voice actor friends, like industry friends, and like real life friends, like all in one roof together.
Yeah. That that would be cool. I remember when like when COVID was going crazy, there was that like I think it was like a Discord
The was it
yeah,
the Persona convention on Discord, right?
yeah. And I thought that was man, this would be a pretty viable thing if you do this for like just if you do this but like as only like part of a bigger thing maybe. But
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't
Yeah,
think our
like
lawyers are gonna let us talk. Aren't you shadow banned from that convention or something? Didn't they like have
yeah.
like
Oh, I
this?
did have beef with that convention. Yeah, I'm not welcome there anymore.
Which like weirdly just makes you want to go more. It's like that's the problem about being banned. You just gotta like, well, maybe if I go and kick the bear sideways, I can make it back into the convention. But I gotta say, like, I mean, again, the whole thing that dragged us here, I feel like it. I'm either gonna have way too much to say, or we'll just keep repeating the same thing from each other. Um,
Hmm.
Man, how about that fucking concert? Like from before it happened to during it happening, and even like after, like right away, and even like the whole weekend after, I just couldn't keep thinking to myself that I was like, wow, this was way better in every way that I had ever hoped. Because like I went in pretty like
Yeah.
not optimistic that it was going to be like big or small or crazy. I was just like, I don't know what to expect, but if they play really good music, I'll be happy. But like, I kind of want to know like where was your head at from buying tickets to like showing up, like in terms of expectations.
Yeah, for me, I actually kind of had low expectations because, like you and I, we've watched plenty of the Japanese concerts, and they're not bad concerts, but they're very like similar. They follow the music super closely, and like to the original music to the point where at some points it's kind of just you're just listening to a live rendition of the exact same song. Um, and then on the other hand, I just didn't really think anyone was gonna show up because I was like, who like is there really a market for this? Is there really gonna be a full like venue for like Megaten music, SMT specifically? Like I had so many doubts that I kind of went in thinking this is gonna be like just me and my friends.
Well, and I mean, like honestly, like you're that's pretty valid because you're like even the day before the convention, multiple. I found four different booths giving away tickets to the convention. I mean, to the concert.
Oh wow.
So it was one of those things where clearly general admission never sold out, but like all the VIP stuff eventually did. And it was one of those things where like yeah, like I was going into it being like I'd never been to the Nova. I didn't really know how big the venue was. And for anyone who
Hmm.
wasn't there, like it's definitely like a step above small, but like larger than like an intimate setting. Like it's definitely like holds a couple hundred people.
Yeah. One of the things I'll say though, we gotta like break it down. There's like three parts. There's the line to the VIP experience, and then the concert itself. The thing that blew my mind the whole time was like you made friends with everybody in each one of those situations. I talked to people that I've never met before that were just other fans, and I guess I can't even put my finger on it because I've gone to so many concerts. There's never been one where I felt like that level of camaraderie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like there's always that feeling of like when you go to a convention or even a concert where it's like, yeah, I love. We'll just bring this up again. I love 311, man. I'll jam out to them any day. But like something about this felt like again, like you're saying, from the line to the VIP to the concert, of just like everyone I talked to, it was just like a I don't know you, but we all know that we like the same kind of thing enough that we just instantly click. Like I never had a
Yeah.
moment of like, oh, this was kind of awkward. I'm gonna walk away. Like so, when we were in the VIP line, I think we were close to like being the 200th people in line or something, because we were there about 20 minutes or so after they started letting people in to line up for VIP. So because
Oh wow.
I never saw you, but I was like maybe 50 people behind Hagane. So I'm not sure how much more ahead of
Okay.
him you were. But
Yeah. So for context for that, I got there like so like the as soon as the meetup left ended, I literally went straight to that line.
you were all business. You were like, fuck this convention. I'm
Yes.
going. I'm getting my Nahabito plushie. I don't give a shit.
Yes. And it's not even for me. I got it literally to give to do you remember you remember Spider, right?
Yeah. Oh, was that for her?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because she really wanted that, and I remember asking like Atlus PR, like, can you please like send me another one? And they're like, no, sorry. So that one was for her, but um, I was like, even though I went right away, I was still like 15th in line, I think. So there's people queued up like at like 3 p.m. when the doors open at like 6 or whatever. I forgot when the doors open actually.
Yeah,
I want to say
so
6.
so what was funny was we were in line behind another couple. So I brought my wife and I
Hmm.
was in line behind another couple, and what was so funny is we were just talking about it. Like we just eventually started like asking a couple of questions, and then eventually we were just talking because when we were in line it wasn't like, oh, you're just in line then you're in the party. As soon as we got to the party,
Yeah.
then both of us all went to the merch line. So then we were
Yeah.
waiting in the merch line the entire time, and ironically, we were in the merch line just long enough that when they brought out Casey, Damon, and Chris,
Christian.
we were literally
Yeah.
right in front of them. So I just have a video of them
Okay.
of that little speech they all had. I was just
Uh-huh.
directly in front of them doing that when that happened. So what was funny about it was like, yeah, it was like perfectly timed for all of it because by the time then I got my merch, we drank. We had about 2 or 3 drinks, and then the concert started. So then what was so funny was, like you said, just like getting to like meet all these new people, talking to everybody. Um, like what was so funny is like even though like we had the voice actors there, I barely said anything to any of them. I shook Chris's hand because I had
Yep.
never met him in person before, but I talked to him over the last 2 years quite a bit, and then getting to see Casey and Damon for the first time. Damon I never met or talked to outside of text very much at all. Casey was very weird,
Hmm.
just because Casey went from dude I had never heard of to like literally the day before SMT5 came out. Casey, they just
Hmm.
came on our like marathon live stream and just chatted with
Yeah.
us as I opened up the PR box for like 5 hours. I was like, Casey, do you want to come on and hang out? I was thinking, oh, maybe they'll be here for 5 minutes. They're like, no, I'll just chill. I'll just chill and stream all night with this random dude I've ever talked to. So like Casey is very cool. Like I don't really think of Casey as a voice actor friend. I just think of Casey as cool internet friend. So it was very funny
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
like Casey in person and stuff like that. But um, I don't know if I told you this, but so do you remember the amount of Nahabino plushies they promised ahead of time?
100.
They did not give away 100. They gave away more than 100.
Which
So
that begs the question: do they manufacture more or what?
I gotta ask. So I know the person who designed them, but I gotta just think they found an extra pallet of them. Because I'm like, I
Mm.
know more weren't made, but they had basically thought they were out 2 years ago. So I'm like, I
Oh,
wonder
okay.
what's happened, but I also, it's not that cool of a thing for me to like bring it up. But I was like, it is weird though, because like, there's an interesting story that happened by the time we got there. They had given away 150 and we were literally 2 people away in line and about to like not get one. And I was like, well, I literally already have one. I don't need one, let alone two, because I bought 2 VIP tickets, so me and my wife could have both gotten one. And I was like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be that guy who's got fucking 3. I don't want to be like the smog of Nahabino plushies, like hoarding them for eBay.
I
Um,
mean, for the record, I would like to be the small of now.
just like you have the palette with them all on there. So what happened was they opened up a box about 20 people ahead of us, and I overheard them talking the whole time because it was right next to bag check, and they were like, oh, we weren't supposed to open this. This was for later in the weekend. So they were gonna do some other
Hmm.
giveaway with with the convention with the other like Nahabinos, but they just gave them all away at the VIP line. So
Ah.
about 200 or more eventually ended up being given away. And so like, were you part of the initial that you also got a free bag?
They did not give the initial people free bags.
Okay, so apparently, because John got a free bag as well. I don't know why. Maybe he stole it from
Oh.
somebody. Like he's the only one I know who got a plushie and a bag. So I wasn't sure what was up with that, but
It could be that they just recognized them because the bag check person like no, literally because the bag check person recognized me And she was like, "Oh, it's so nice that you're here." And I was like, "I don't know who you are." Like,
Yo, dude, I'll tell you what, bag check and me, best friends. You wanna know why? They all were like, big red luggage guy, you know it, man. They're like, what's your bag look like? Oh, I know this guy. He's got the fucking 50-pound luggage bag. I actually had to go back to that luggage check. I kid you not, 5 times that night. For
oh
various
wow,
different reasons. But like, so like, what happened was, the other ones, like, so everyone got one basically for if you were like the first 200 to 250 in line. So there way more were given away, which I think honestly that's a good thing for like the people
yeah,
who waited, and B, like I told people at the concert and then by panel, I was like, hey. There were like, if most, 100 of these out there in the wild before. So there's a way better
hmm.
chance of these things ending up on eBay for like not $9,000 right now because of it. So like
I
if
will
you
say that I have been checking eBay, by the way. Do you know how much the two that were listed sold for?
300,
Yeah, one was 300, the other one
okay,
was 200. So
that seems
compared to, I think the first one was like 1,000, right?
yes.
It sold
The
for,
one I remember, the
yeah.
one for 1,000. But like, yeah,
Okay.
it was one of those things where it's like I'm glad like they're slowly making their way out there for it, just because like it's a thing
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know will never get sold, but so many people want the thing because like it's such a meme. Like it's such a meme. They literally had to
Mm-hmm.
try and do the Stubbins little knockoff to like persuade people at
Norbert.
home, but like yeah, it wasn't even it wasn't enough for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, the VIP thing was funny. But I will say that one of the reasons I had to go back to the bag check so much. Um, I was gonna remember. Did they want me to say their name? No, they did not. So an anonymous listener of the podcast, which by the way, shout out to you because you were very cool every time I met you all weekend, had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have a free ticket to the concert." And I was like, "Okay,
Hmm.
cool. We'll do a Twitter giveaway for this." But like, because it's like such a specific thing of like you had to be in LA and had an AX ticket,
Mhm.
which by the way, blatantly wrong. They never once asked if you had an AX badge.
Yeah, that's actually true. They didn't ask. They
the
didn't check
amount of
anything.
the amount of people I know who like, so do you remember Torin?
Mm-hmm.
Torin literally bought a scalped Friday badge just to go to the concert to then never be asked for the badge. Which like he got it for a pretty good price, but it was just so funny that I was like he was stressing because badges sold out this year. He was stressing he was
Yeah.
gonna get kicked out of the concert because he didn't have a badge. And then never needed it at
Wow.
all. But like, so when we did the Twitter giveaway, I picked the winner randomly, and I told them, hey. Come meet me at this point, and I'll give you your ticket. I just figured because we were waiting for the VIP party, I didn't really know what the line setup was going to be, and so what ended up happening was this poor girl who ended up winning it was like, "Hey, I'm outside." She somehow got past the entire line and was just in the middle area with the escalators, like the escalator before getting up to the third level. She just somehow had
Mm-hmm.
snuck in there without a badge or anything or with a ticket, and she's like, "Hey, come give me my badge. Can you go get me the ticket, please?" And I said, "Oh, sure, no problem." And then I realized when I was so excited for the bag check, I put everything in the big suitcase so that I
Ooh,
had to leave the pre VIP party, go back to my luggage, go get the ticket, then go give it to her, apologize profusely, and then sneak back into the party because it was one of those things where I was so glad to get rid of the suitcase I'd completely forgot about the extra ticket being in there.
that explains why you were gone for so long.
But it was one of those
Wow.
things where I was like, I had already gotten everything I wanted, like merch wise, from the VIP party. I had way more hors d'oeuvres than I had ever planned on, and I already had 2 drinks and a ton of water. And so I was like, I would have felt so bad if I just didn't give this girl her ticket, and like, because she didn't miss any of the concert, but I just would have felt so bad even for like a giveaway thing if she didn't go. And it made me, and I mean, it was immediately so worth it though, because like she sent it, like she was like one of the first people in there because they basically just said, "Oh fuck it," and let her in early. Because even though she was
Oh wow.
general attendance, she was like one of the first people in there. She had like sent a picture of it
Mm-hmm.
like before and after, and she was like so excited that she got to go to this thing because she barely could afford going to AX and couldn't get a ticket to the concert. And I was like,
Oh wow.
that made it so much more worth it. It's like she was like a million times more excited than I would have ever thought would have been for it. So like
Hmm.
that made it a million times cooler. But yeah, like going into like the merch for it, what was funny is the way they sold the merch is the most concert way ever. Just random like people who work at the theater had like they were just selling merch. You could do it. It was card only, which was weird. Like there was no cash at all, but
Yep.
they had tips. You could do cash tips, just couldn't pay with cash. Had to do card.
Yeah.
But
You know what's funny about that? Initially, you know how they had the keychains of the different like demons?
mhm.
So initially they were selling them just like that. So you'd be like, "Oh, I want the Black Frost." But since they had no idea what anything was, they would just be like, which one is that?" So that's why by the time you got there was like numbers under each one, I believe.
Oh,
That
okay.
that, that way they could just be like, "Oh, give me keychain 1, 2, and 3."
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like so like what was funny was when we got there, the merch looked so plentiful. I was like, oh, because I had offered to buy some merch ahead of time with friends, but I was like, honestly, I bet they'll be fine by the time they get there. I was shocked to find out a bunch of it had sold out before the concert even started. Did you ever go back to the merch table?
No, I didn't. Those guys were rushing us out as soon as like even I was there with the PR person and they were trying to get her to leave too, and they were
Mm-hmm.
pretty aggressive.
So all the keychains sold out at the concert. They still had a couple T-shirts, but mostly smalls left. A ton of
Yeah.
light sticks and a bunch of towels. And I ended up only ever getting. We got two light sticks, one for me and Mary. I got one shirt, which again the shirt is fantastic, fantastic quality. It's like an amazingly printed shirt.
Hmm.
Um, Passed on the poster, but I got the towel because I was like, I didn't want the poster, but the towel actually looked so nice. It was just like a bigger, nicer version of the poster. I was like, let's just get the
Hmm.
towel. Because, like, the towel is, like, ironically, like, only a couple dollars more than the poster and more versatile.
Yeah.
So we went with that one, and like it was a good amount because then that way we weren't stuck with too much. But what was funny was then my friends were like, "Oh hey, Spencer, go get me this or whatever," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you'll be fine." And then them telling me it was like, "Oh no, dude, I barely got what I wanted. It was almost sold out." I was like, "Oh shit."
My question is, what are they gonna do with all those extra light sticks then?
The light sticks they weirdly did not sell online. I gotta imagine it'll go into like the weird surplus of Shop Atlas things like the 9 million Persona 5 Royal One More treasure chest editions no one bought. Like I'm sure there's like a couple of warehouses Indiana Jones size full of them like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
The light sticks were nice though. I was surprised at how good the quality was for them. Like they're obviously like a pretty like just cheap plastic light stick, but like the like
Yeah.
the printing and like the glitter on them was like a nice touch. I thought those were pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I had no complaints about the light sticks.
So what was funny though, like I don't have too much really to say about the VIP party because really for me it was most of it was just waiting in line, talking to people, getting drinks, and then going into the concert.
Mhm.
You gotta socialize a little bit more with it. Like, what was your experience with the VIP lounge like?
It was literally like, what if all of the biggest SMT nerds were in one room? Because everyone would freak out when because you know how they were playing like the Mega 10 songs on loop.
Mm-hmm.
People would freak out when like Force Battle was playing or like Disco or whatever. So there was that like, and then there was like people who would walk by where they'd recognize Akoshi and his girlfriend's like SMT2 cosplays, and then like they would sit with us and we would just string up conversations with just random people. Like I think one couple we like befriended, we just started talking to them because they had the Conoco lipstick, like the upper lip black, and we were just like, "Oh, Conoco lips," and they're like, "Yes, finally someone recognized." And
Everyone else at the convention is like, why did you only do one lip? Where's the rest of your lipstick?
yeah, I can imagine that. But it was just like, it was a lot of conversation, a lot of like those hors d'oeuvres. They were pretty plentiful. I feel
Oh
like
my god,
we were
yeah, dude.
eating.
Like I joked about the hors d'oeuvres before. They were basically shoving them in your face. Like there were constantly hors d'oeuvres for you to take. There were not enough people for
Yep.
all the hors d'oeuvres there.
Yeah. I mean, I ate a lot. I ate. like at first I was like starving because all I had was a really expensive street dog for that day. But
Oh,
then
you got the
I,
bacon dog?
I yeah, I have to get one. They're like a thing. They're like my crack addiction,
Dude,
like for
my
anime.
my wife was so sad the first day. She's like, I feel so sad for these old Mexican ladies that are working so late. I'm like,
No, they make bang.
it's like, yo, listen, honey. There's a reason they're out here in 98-degree weather selling bacon dogs for 48 hours straight. They're doing fine.
Yes, I bought one, and there's like an anime tax because it used to be like $5, but it was almost 10 for one of those dogs. But like those hors d'oeuvres, like I literally ate enough to like have a full meal. I was stuffed by the start of the concert,
Yeah,
which I guess
the
worked because it.
steak was great. There was a tempura as
Yeah.
well as the pizza was really really good. Like every
Hmm.
one of the items I had, I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, like like there was a point where they just were bringing stuff out, and I was just like, I don't know what this is, but it's going in.
Yeah, it's a dark lit room. Megaten music is playing, and I'm fucking starving from being at 98-degree weather. Please give it to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
also, also, yeah, we do have the themed drinks to talk about. All three of them. I think they were like $8 to $9 each. We had the Jack
yep.
Frost, the Black Frost, and the McCoy. The
Mhm.
unofficial, I guess now has to be official, new Jack Bros.
Yeah, it seems like they're like that's the new one. Yeah,
So I
but
tried the Jack Frost just because I was boring and wanted to just try whatever a blue margarita was, and it was definitely a blue $9 margarita, but I
yep.
got my money's worth out of it at least. What did you order?
I tried one of each, and then I got an extra McCoy because that was the one that I liked. There
I
is.
wanted to do one of each. It wasn't even a money thing. It was legitimately I was so thirsty and hot from the concert in general. I just wanted
Mhm.
more water.
Oh, and the water situation was really funny because if you say, "Oh, I want a water," they'd bring out the bottled water and charge you.
Oh,
But if you
really?
just say, "Yeah," but if you have to say, but if you specify glass, they bring out like a cup of water.
That's really
Like it was really
funny.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a different bartender. I just said, "Hey, can I get two waters in this drink?" And they were I probably got at least 15 refills with our glass of ice water the entire night.
Mm,
That
yeah. I mean,
that's really
that's
funny.
good. I kind of went crazy with water too, just because, like, yeah, like they should have just had like a cooler or something because it was like I think everyone was just craving water.
I mean, listen, I think that in hindsight, the easiest way to make money at any public event, just buy one of those Walmart 46 cases of water, charge $1 per bottle, and just make 9,000% bank.
Yeah. I mean, they would have made a killing on just that alone. Because actually, I ended up paying for a bottle too. Because I was like, maybe the bottled water is colder or something. But no, it was definitely room temperature water that I paid like $6 for.
Gotta love $9 beer night with $6 room temp water. No, nothing says concert
Yeah.
night more like that. But I mean, like, I guess enough ahead of time though playing. I will say this: I was shocked it started on time. It was the most unconcert thing ever that this actually started on time. Because I don't know about you, but because of how early we were let in and how
Hmm.
little of the room had been filled in. Because remember how slow the bag check process was for us. I was like, oh my god, is everyone gonna have to do that before they get in here? Because I was like, there's no way this concert's gonna start at 9 if that's the case. And then
Yeah.
I felt like in 30 minutes everyone showed up out of nowhere and the concert started on time. I was shocked. But what was so funny
Hmm.
about it was just me being like, okay, how big is and how crowded is this going to feel? To when it finally started, at least for us, my placement of it, we were directly in the middle, three people behind the very, very front in the VIP pit. I think you were either a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit behind me or to the left. Like, so where was your placement for the concert?
Yeah, I was like mid back on the left because I didn't want to be too close because like I kind of figured, okay, well, like if people actually do go crazy and like start moshing or something,
Oh my
like
god,
literally,
I didn't even think about that. My only thought was like, you know what? I could give my wife tinnitus. She'll be fine. Like, why not? I didn't even think about moshing. That would have been so embarrassing to explain.
Yeah. I was like so deathly afraid because like I don't know what these people are gonna do, and I don't want to get caught in it. So I stood back, and then in the end, like me and my friend were like dancing the craziest because we were like headbanging and stuff to some of the songs, and people were like making room around us because we were the ones going crazy. But
I'm just losing it at
like,
the idea of, like, imagine, like, teenagers trample someone to death moshing to Akira's theme. Just like, it's just some really random track to mosh to.
yeah, I mean, you can mosh to anything if you put your mind to
Oh
it.
yeah, trust me. Like, the amount of songs that they were singing along to with no lyrics at the concert were absolutely hilarious to
Don't
me.
even, yeah, 'cause I recorded the force battle specifically for that because I was like, oh, like she's gonna be singing something, like she's literally gonna be singing something, so let me record it. And when I played it back, I only could hear the audience screaming every fan lyric like I've ever heard all at once. And I'm like, oh man, I guess I'll never know what she's.
I know, man. I was next to a kid. I could have sworn, like, when the lyrics part came up, I was ready for, like, "One More God Rejected," and this kid next to me just said, "Elmo's job is FedEx," and I was like, "Man, I've never heard that one before." Jesus.
It sounds way more canon.
Oh my god, by the way, the, like, least surprise, because, like, the whole time before it started the concert, we were like, no one from Atlus will show up. Obviously, like, we're not gonna have Megara, we're not gonna have any of the, like, original composers. But I was like, there's no way they're not even going to, like, announce a new trailer. Like, so, some people were, like, smoking, like, the mega, like, hopium copium before this. They're like, guys, they're gonna announce SMT5 coming to PC at this event. Like, why would they do it? Why would they do it at this
Yeah,
concert? Why would this room of 500 people is that where they're gonna announce this shit? But, like, what was so funny
yeah,
was, and I still gotta post it because I think I'm the only one who actually has the, like, actual footage of it, because I don't think anyone else has put it on YouTube. All of the, like, composers came out dropping these, like, lore nuggets, and I'm like, what?
yep,
It's like, where have these been all our life? Like, we had, like, everybody coming out talking about, like, what got them into, like, making all these different songs or working at Atlus, and, like, what they were doing at the time, and just being like, these are, like, the things you never expect to see at a concert, let alone a Western concert.
yeah. I literally, because like I know that in, like Japanese concerts, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, thank you for showing up," but this one they decided to be like, "Thank you for showing up." When I was 5, I picked up my first guitar, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we're taking notes at this concert.
I know, that's why I'm like, I have all the video messages recorded and, like, pretty in at least, like, HD quality, but, like, with, like, the subtitles visible. But what's so funny is, like, I gotta upload these at the very least for the wiki. The wiki's gonna get updated based on one of these videos. I'm calling
Yeah,
it now.
yeah. I recorded them too, but I just literally was like, "These are just for me. These are my private selection."
It's for the historian eyes only.
Yeah, I was like this would be kind of cool. I was kind of actually one of the things I was thinking is they might release like some sort of DVD for it. I would imagine, or like a
We
restream,
talked
right?
about this a little bit, and I've actually talked to some of this on the record, some of this off the record. So things are always moving. The entire pre-sound check was filmed, and the entire show was filmed. There was
Yeah,
no
I
plans for a paid PPV, like a rebroadcast, like they did with the Nocturne one.
hmm
There's no plan for that. I wouldn't be shocked if they, like, put it on a Blu-ray though.
yeah, which they should because it'd be a classic idea.
But yeah, like, the obviously, I don't know. Are concert spoilers a thing? I feel like they are, but then I also feel like I'd get made fun of for saying the word concert spoilers. Like, I went in not really knowing what to expect, but, like, the track list, it obviously wasn't perfect because they're never gonna, like, play every single song, like, from the entire soundtrack, but, like, it was the perfect mixture of, like, not overproduced, not just directly sampling from the game. It felt like there was a lot of good, like, freedom in terms of how they got to play and, like, get to arrange the tracks. And I thought the
hmm
way that the playlist flowed into each other was, like, absolutely perfect. So, like, I obviously there were like tracks I would have loved to have heard, but for the tracks that were there, I had no complaints about how any of them were performed like at all.
Yep. My big thing was like I think like that's why I was comparing it to the Japanese side because the Japanese side they play it exactly as it appears in the game. So hearing them take creative freedom made to me it made it way more exciting because I'm like I know what it's supposed to sound like. So then once they start doing like some crazy guitar solos or like they do these like the drummer had even some solos at some point. I'm just like this makes it way more intense, especially if when you do love the songs that much because the changes just like catch you by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, like even like little things that surprised me in ways like we had literally joked about it before the concert started. Where we were like, "Hey, what songs do you want to hear, and what do you expect to not be there?" I was literally like, "I just want to hear the fusion organs from Five," but I'm like, "There's
Oh
no."
yeah,
It's like there's no way they're gonna do that because like how do you like put that into a concert without that being either really weird or really awkward? And then like you look at because they had released a clip of it, like it's so
hmm
funny how hype it was, even let alone like how perfectly like timed it was to the video. But then along with it, like just then like the like how much the room just exploded at like the Jack Frost being summoned on there.
yeah, and it was I think the thing that was funny is the people near me were like, "It's gonna summon Jack Frost," and I was like, "Okay," I thought I was a huge nerd, but I couldn't have told you what a slime and pixie make.
But yeah, it was funny because like the video element, it wasn't a concert that was very reliant on videos, but like what was there at least like felt complimentary. What was funny
Yeah,
though is anytime they showed footage from SMT1, it was like you could tell they had to show footage from the iOS version. It was just like iOS trailers because it was like the HUD's on the screen. Like same thing with SMT4 gameplay because there's no like
yeah,
official HD version. They're obviously not going to just show Citra footage. Like just the fact that they're just showing these like 13-year-old trailers on a blown up screen on a concert that's like clearly here's the 5 seconds of running around like Tokyo from this random E3 trailer we're going to crop out. It was just so funny of like some of the stuff how they were more limited by others, which is like obviously the stuff we had the most footage of was like SMT3 with Nocturne HD and then SMT5.
yeah.
But it was just so funny of like the things that would be there that you would expect cuz like other ones like the footage that was there of gameplay like raw gameplay was actually recorded for that concert exclusively, which was kind of interesting.
Huh, that's interesting to know. They definitely synchronized it very well. Like the footage they chose to like record or use, it felt so planned, but in a way that just flowed well. So you didn't really think about how it was planned, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. Yeah, it felt like that kind of natural thing where you could see that it was pre-planned without feeling like it was following the script.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that kind of like played into the way that they built it up from like the old games, like, and then they kind of moved forward towards the modern ones. It worked really well because one of the things I did think is like, man, there's so many memorable Nocturne songs. How are they going to do it? And they did since they landed on a medley, and to me that was like actually like a genius move because then you can give everyone their moment to be like yes, but then you without having to cut other songs from the set list. It's very smart.
Yeah, and like and things I almost wish we got to see a little bit more of. I loved when the medleys played into going in and out of other games, like how we had the medley that started with Apocalypse and then went back to 4. Like I
Yeah.
thought that was a really cool choice of not having it have to stay chronological of like kind of bleeding in and out of
Yes.
each other.
So then I gotta ask, if what was like the one song you wish was there that wasn't there?
The one that's really tough. Though if there had to be one out of all the games that were there, I would have liked a little bit
hmm
more track. I think like there could have been some more stuff they did with If, but again, I'm shocked we
Yeah.
had a single song from If, let
A
alone.
single If song was. way more than enough.
Yeah, but like I think it would have been cool to at least do a couple of the other battle themes and boss themes have some good like riffs to it that I would have liked to hear. But like really
Yeah,
they got most of the big ones. Like the only other
yeah,
ones that would have been interesting would have been doing like if they maybe busted out a synth and played like some fucking weird Sega CD version of the battle theme from SMT1. Like that's the only other super nerd answer I could have had because like out of all the
yeah.
games we had, it was there were way more songs from 1 and 2 than I would have ever thought. They didn't lean on 3
Mhm.
very long, and they didn't overplay songs from 5. Like there were still songs from 5 I would have loved to have seen, but like when you look
Yeah,
at how many songs were there from 5, it was funny. And also, yeah, shout out not only with them doing the fusion theme, but also shout out to them doing the ending theme of Nocturne and 5. Those played extremely well live.
yeah, and the way the I mean the crowd reacted well to basically every song, but the way that the crowd basically like roared for those two ending themes tells you everything you need to know about the song selection.
Oh yeah, and by the way, shout out to the crowd for popping off. No other franchise, I at least feel like, would pop off this hard or have a song that goes as hard as the Mercenaries bar theme from 4, and hearing that live is so funny.
Yeah, it. I felt like that one had like a little bit of like a like some people around me were kind of like what the like because of the tonal shift a little bit in terms of like the way the concert had been progressing.
Yeah, but I mean
But
that's kind of why I like about it cuz like 4's soundtrack is like if you listen to that thing from start to finish, it feels like you're listening to 3 different soundtracks at the same time.
yeah,
And so that's what I really liked about it. And like that's like the tough part about like they played way more songs from 4 than I would have ever thought, but again, like honestly, we could have dedicated concerts from 4 and Apocalypse, and like that's enough for like 2.5 hours of like music played live on its own because like that's those soundtracks are just insane. Oh, that's one actually. I would have paid double the ticket, which by the way, we both paid those prices. Those were not cheap
yep.
concert tickets. I would have absolutely shit my pants if they had actually played the final boss theme from Apocalypse, like with video and
Hmm.
showing off that boss fight live. That would have been insane.
That would have been pretty good actually. Yeah,
But that's a weird one of like that's super spoilery, but also like kind of niche at the same time. So I kind of understand it. But yeah, again, everything that was there, I appreciated. Not a single Rido song, which sucked, but at least the one shot we got of Rido from the Nocturne footage, the entire room popped for. So that
yeah,
the forever trend of Rido selling like absolute trash, but still being popular for no reason, I'm glad still works.
yeah.
What about you though? Like, was there any songs that like kind of surprised you in hindsight, where you think back to be like, wow, like I was surprised not only like that it was there, but like that you appreciated like how it was played.
For me, it was literally my one big request for SMT5 music. I'm gonna butcher their name because I always confuse them. Dancing Crazy Murder.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of my favorite like battle tracks from SMT5, and I just did not think they were gonna play it because I'm like, why would they play that song? But it like made me so hype when they did, because it's literally like up there as like one of my favorite songs from all of Megaten.
Well,
And,
and it just plays so fast, and like it's perfect for like a live performance kind of song. Like the
yeah, and the
energy it
weird thing is,
brings to the room is so good.
yeah, and the original version is way more techno-y or I don't know electronic sounding. So then they adapted it super well, like to more of a rock feel that worked perfectly.
It's kind of funny too, because like from talking with John, and there were two other people I met at the concert who had actually had gone to the Japanese version. It's so
Hmm.
funny talking to them about like how vanilla by comparison the Japanese one was with this one. This one definitely had a lot more kind of freedom in terms of like composing like the flow of everything. So it was very funny to then like sort of like think about like the duo, because I honestly I was kind of expecting this to just be the Japanese one but in English. I was expecting to sit down or like be in a room where they play the songs beginning to end, no frills, and then I go home. And like even if that's what it was, I would have been fine with. But the fact that it was so much more of a like actual like no, like we're going to really lean into this being like a live rock performance of this made it 10 times better. And again, seriously, like it was a pretty intimate group. Like playing, we had three people on strings, guitar, bass,
Hmm.
keys, and drums, and everybody on there like had multiple moments or many solos just to shine, in so
Yep.
many great ways that like I feel like I just want to like drag every single one of them on here and just talk to each person who performed about like their own like section and could like have it be its own little interview, because I feel like it'd just be like I'd want to like even just because like just because of how passionate I am about not only playing but like music in general, it just absolutely oozed like everybody up there on that stage was giving like 120%. Nobody was half-assing
Yeah.
it at all.
Yes, exactly. There's the biggest one for me because I'm a drummer. I was literally watching what the drummer was doing the entire time, and some of the songs I do know the drum patterns to. So I was like, oh man, she's like actually making it a little bit better, a little more interesting. And she did that for like every single song. Every time, it was like she basically did either a more intricate or more interesting version of the drum pattern, or she just hit it spot on, and it was super like it was so good.
I really do wish now, because of that like how it all came out and played, I would love to like pick all the different Atlas composers' brains and be like, what did you guys think of this? Because like it's such an interesting take on this music we've never really seen in an official Atlas like way before. I'd be really curious
Mhm.
what all the different composers and sound designers kind of thought about like how their music was arranged. You know?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. 'Cause I was wondering if it's seen as a sign of respect or disrespect in that regard. Like, will they be like, "Oh, I love what you did," or "Oh, you ruined the song," or somewhere in between? I kind of get the vibe that like at least the younger composers, because of the way they were talking in those like talking head interviews, that they must have. I'm pretty sure they're just like amazed that people even like care about their songs to the
Oh
degree
yeah,
that
because
we
the
do.
the one theme that every video interview had was, "We're so glad to have the first Western concert." We might as well have just said, "We're glad it's the last," because like let's be honest, like
Yeah.
none of us there were like, "Boy, we'll see you next year, guys. Can't wait to do this again." Like it felt like a once in a lifetime kind of show, because really,
Hmm.
I'm surprised we even got this one.
Yeah. If you had told me they were doing a concert in for Megaten in the West, I would have said, "Oh, Persona 5 is getting a concert."
Yeah, that is
So
wild. Think
yeah.
about this. They've still never done an official P Sound live in the West, and this was
Mhm.
first. That's so wild.
And like I guarantee you, if they do decide to like flip it, especially now that they know that they have a really good, trustworthy like band to actually put it together. I actually want to see if next year it's gonna be Persona because I would die.
God, that would be even such a harder track list though. Like how do you
True.
even begin to like sum this into like a 2 hour concert, you know?
Easy. I got it. 2 hours of Shadow World.
No, I want to say, can you imagine? So, like, because what was the VIP ticket? Like 150 to like $200 on top of the normal
Yeah,
ticket? Can you
yeah,
just
something crazy
imagine
like that.
the VIP lounge is just nothing but the fucking meme song from Persona Trinity Soul playing the entire time you're in there eating hors d'oeuvres?
In the house like carpet.
Just be like, I paid $150 to hear this song live. I regret nothing.
What's that other meme song? The Day Day Mouse.
Yeah, no, that's the after party. That's the after party with the
Oh
open
yeah,
bar. The open bar with the day day It's like
which that like that song is probably the most like I can't even describe it like type like song I've ever heard. Like whenever I've showed a couple of my friends, I'm like I know you guys don't like my Megaten music, but please listen to the song. And they're just like, what? Like, what's wrong with this?
I will say, like, you ever feel like the internet takes crazy pills, or at least specifically Twitter does, of like, sometimes like
For
I'll see a
sure.
take on Twitter where I'll be like, you've got to be saying this just to get a reaction out of people. Like, I saw a post that was like, all right guys, clearly enough time has passed, we've got to admit all the remixes and all the dancing games are bad. And I'm like, what a kind of statement is that? That should be like all of these songs are bad. Like, I can get it if you don't like a remix or two, that's fine. Like, you can't just be like,
Yeah.
every song in this music game is trash.
Yeah, no, like it's factually incorrect because there some of those songs made it into my daily listening thing when I'm commuting from work. So
I listened
can't
to
be bad.
Akira Yamaoka's remix of Time to Make History in like probably 900 times. I've listened to his remix of that like so many fucking times.
It's very good. It's a very good remix.
But yeah, like concert alone, at Atlus, I know 5 of you are listening. 3 of you are probably lawyers, but for the love of God, I don't know what it'll take. Just please do this again. This was fantastic. Like, cause like I joked about it a little bit. Like for real, my ticket alone, because we did VIP pit for two and the VIP party. It was maybe like $500 to $600 for just the tickets for just the concert.
Yeah.
So like it was
Yep.
not a non-expensive trip at all. So like the fact that I walked away from that being like, let's do that again, should really like kind of speak to the point of like the only reason I planned my whole trip around going to LA was for this one
Mhm.
show on one night on one day of a 4-day convention, and it absolutely blew my standards away.
Yeah, because oh sorry, I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh, you're good.
Okay,
It's
but
the Data Mouse police. They heard us bad mouthing the song we are coming.
but like I go to a lot of concerts and I have like pretty high standards in general, but going into this one I kind of expected it to be bad. Oh, like I was saying, like I didn't really expect it to be anything amazing. But like it was by far like it's like in my top like three like shows I've ever been to. And I think the huge part of it was just the crowd. Like when you're around people who care that much, like I was recording because I had to, like that was like my job. Like I was like, okay, I need to get these interviews and stuff. But like everyone was just like in there, like everyone is like focused on the moment, and we had that meme chant going around. I don't know who started the Jack Frost hee ho chant, but kudos to them.
So, fun fact: whoever started that also transitioned into the panel that I did on Monday.
Really?
So apparently, they like whenever I'd be like, "All right, everybody, make some noise" or whatever, so I could like test the audio. It was just the room full of heos, just like hundreds of people shouting it. And I'm like, that is such a funny thing to have. I've been a part of that, and now having it yelled at me was a very surreal feeling.
I mean, it was a good chance. I think the other thing that was really amazing, I don't know if you noticed, but everyone with a light stick would literally synchronize the light color to the game that
Oh,
they're like light sticking
100%.
to.
Every single time, I was always like, I can't enjoy the song unless I'm like, oh, is it 4? I gotta go green. Is it
Yeah.
5? I gotta go blue. Is it 3? I gotta go like red or something.
Yeah, and everybody was doing it. So it made it so like epic, and everyone was moving in synchronicity, which was really, really interesting because I wasn't sure because sometimes you go to like a concert and then everyone tries to do like a clap and they're all slightly off, which is like always the worst. But this one, everyone was pretty in sync.
The only questionable like moment of concert like noise that like I didn't mind it, but I was like, I feel like if you weren't there in the moment, it might come off as obnoxious. Was during the map theme, and they're doing the doom 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 doom,
Yeah,
and they were vocalizing it in the crowd, and I'm like, it's not really like lyrical, but like sure, I guess, because like, it was just, I don't know if it was because it was just so catchy that they all started chanting it, but I just thought it was so funny that I was like, what a weird thing to pick up on. Like we didn't do that with all the other ones. We weren't like there weren't like at least no one was near me like during the SMT5 battle theme like doing mouth guitar noises of the it was just like certain songs hit people differently, and like that was just kind of part of the fun of it. Also, again, like
Hmm.
I loved picking my wife's brain for this because she has no reference for any of these songs, and so me
Hmm.
dragging her to all of this, I was just like, I'm gonna be real. You might be bored out of your mind during this entire concert, and even she, with like no context for any of it, like walked away from you like, well, my body fucking hates me, and we're really sore because this was all on the first day of the convention, but it was completely worth it. So like even for like someone
Yeah.
like that with like who has no like musical ties to it at all, completely enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's the same thing with my girlfriend. My girlfriend was like I'm just here because you bought the tickets.
Listen, I'm here for the hors d'oeuvres and the $9 drinks.
And I was like, no, you're actually just here for that extra Nahabino.
Oh, the
But
plush one. Yo, no joke. My wife went from saying Nahabino was like the ugliest plushie like she'd ever seen to then being like, when we got two, I said, hey, I'm gonna get one for the giveaway at the panel, and we'll do another giveaway later. And then after holding hers all weekend, she's like, I kind of want to keep this one now. And it's like you were like dogging on this thing as being the stupidest plush I'd ever owned, and Ash was like, I think I want to keep this thing.
she got beamed.
She did. Listen, man, you look into those beady, dead eyes, and like something comes out of the other end.
That's it's the answer to everything is in those eyes.
Oh my god. But
Like, I, but it's funny because my girlfriend came away the same way. She was like, "This is one of the best concerts we've gone to," and I'm like, "Yeah, right." And then you could see them on stage visibly feeding off of like our energy, like literally like energy vampires. The more hype we were, the more they were like into what they were doing.
yeah, and
And
and what was nice is it never felt artificial. Like you ever been to those concerts where it definitely feels like there's almost like people in there like their job is just to like be hyping up the concert. Like no one needed to
yeah,
hype up anything. Everyone was 200% wound up the moment it started.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It felt really authentic. I think, like, and I think that's the thing that makes me like want them to do it again so bad is because I do feel bad that it was such a of an event that's pretty like such a very exclusive like feeling that like I've never gotten from the community. If that makes sense, I've never felt like, man, we're really like all in this together. Like that day was that for me. And I'm that's why I need them to do this again because man, like I feel like everyone else is missing out on it.
Yeah, like my only weird kind of question about it was like I only was a little sad of like I kind of wish unless like they were all in a separate VIP area somewhere, I kind of felt sad there weren't more Atlas West people there. Like I think it would have been so much cooler to have a lot more of the employees there with it. But like obviously with this
Yeah.
being something tied to a convention, it's a lot more of like if you're there and you're with Atlas, you're probably working the concert versus just enjoying it. But again, that just goes
Hmm.
back to the thing of like it's the more the merrier, and there's never enough to get everyone there. There's always going to be someone else you want to see. But
Yeah, because I only recognize like two or maybe three Atlas West staff,
yeah, it was like
and
very little.
but I did see one Atlas Japan staff, and I only knew that because they had gone up to Hakoshi because he was dressed up as a left, and he wanted a picture of him, and then I was like walking around him, basically like being like, I don't know if I should introduce myself because I don't know if he even speaks English, but I definitely want to know who he is because I'm like, who's wearing this Atlas shirt who wants to take a picture of an LF, and they're clearly Japanese. And
Right.
then yeah, they're like there's some sort of person who works in Atlas Japan, and they're probably like, man, there's this guy like hovering around me.
I don't think I could ever like have the balls to say hi to anybody at Atlas Japan because this is everybody I know at Atlas Japan. It's my one friend who works there. And then the only other people who would know me would be all the lawyers in Atlas Japan who probably don't like me. That's about it. The only reason, like, there are 3 lawyers at least that I've ever contacted from Atlas Japan who I'm like I could tell through emails you probably don't like me. But no, like that's cool. That's cool. I remember the employee you're talking about because yeah, I noticed the shirt as well. But no, that is really cool with it. But I did see there one of the questions we got here from Sergio wanted to ask. do you have a favorite moment from the entire concert, whether it be like a song or like a one specific part that just hit different?
I think it was literally when Christian Lamont screamed, "One more God rejected," because it's to me that's like I know people think that I hate that meme, but it's super funny to me, and like that was probably the funniest thing to happen because some one of the people that was like dancing next to me was like they're looking at me like, are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" And it just made me like crack up because it's such a funny thing, a funny like ingrained Western only meme that like that part was just super funny to me. I love that.
So what was funny is I forgot to tell you I reached out to Christian afterwards and I was like,
Uh
what was the like motive? I was like, did someone tell them to say that? And what was funny
huh.
is he had just thought about it ahead of time and he thought, oh yeah, it's that song that everyone loves. It's the one more God reject because like the meme that kind of brought it up more into popularity, and I think it was kind of around the time you had done your video of War Broke Out in Heaven. Was do you remember when there was that like Fox News video of like Attack and Dethrone God? And then people started talking
Yeah,
about
I
that.
remember it.
That was the meme that like reminded people about that song. So like what was so funny
Hmm.
about it was like it wasn't even like they did it out of a like, oh man, the kids are gonna love this one. It was basically just like, oh yeah, what's something real, because like realistically, I love all the voice actors who are there equally. None of them are like deep lore hounds. Like none of them are like deep in
Yeah,
the like it's gonna be pretty surface level. So like yes, One More God Rejected's kind of the one thing they got going for them. So that's why I just thought it was so funny because like imagine though the reaction the room would have had if he had said like any other version of the lyric. Like
they would have been.
the room would have either been completely erupted in silence for confusion, or would have just completely like we all would have been laughing out of like not expecting that at all.
Yeah. So it was a really good idea from the plane to the meme because that was funny. It was actually I think also it's because of that the vibe of the whole concert made me like willing to like I'm just like I don't know I was just like willing down for anything. They could have literally said okay and everyone like another $100 otherwise we're gonna stop now and I'd have been like okay.
It's like the GoFundMe, Kickstarter, ransom. Oh my god. Well,
What about for you? Well,
for my favorite moment, this is a weird one, and it's definitely a cop out answer, but I'm gonna have to give it. It was talking to everyone the rest of that night after the concert. We
mm,
were just constantly like in this like almost fugue state of like how excited we were, all the adrenaline after the concert, how tired we were, but how like pumped up the music had been, and just like coming out, talking to everyone, walking back to the car from that first day of how like crazy it was, and just thinking
mm,
about everything and just like how perfect that first day was, while also being crazy and annoying and stupid and hot and hungry, but then just thinking about everything and just being like what a perfect cap to that night. Because I remember even I think you talked about it a little beforehand. We were like, oh, we should all get something to eat. We should all do whatever. It's like, nope.
yeah,
We all just fucking went home and died. We all died after
yeah,
because we were all tired and we're all old and we're all gonna die soon. But it was just those things of like
yeah,
ending the night with that concert was like such the cherry on top that then talking to everybody on the way home was like just such a fun little end cap.
yeah. That's true.
And also shout out to Cat and Marcus for stealing the sticker vinyl wrap on the window that was definitely not meant to ever be removed and completely crinkled and looks really bad, but it's I love they stole that. I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, they almost got me wanting to do it, but I was like, I just didn't have
It looks
the
so
fortitude.
bad. It looks so it like looks like an accordion. It looks I need to get a picture of it. It's like it's one of the worst things I've ever seen. I still can't believe though I was the only one was I'm the only one who stole the drink menu. I was like, someone else is gonna take one of these, right? Nobody else took one.
I kind of regret not taking one. As soon as I saw you with it, I was like, man, that makes sense. I should have grabbed that. But the whole time, I was literally like I think the like that's like the one of the few times where I was socializing the entire time from the concert starting to when it ended. So I didn't even think to do anything else. And also, I drank a lot, so I was like not in the right mindset anyway to think about collecting.
What was so funny was when I saw John at the P5T panel. He was
Mhm.
talking about the concert like I hadn't seen him. He was so blitzed that he forgot every conversation I had next to him at the entire pre-party.
Oh
It
wow.
was so god. I was like, damn. Homeboy was so drunk he forgot he was there.
Yeah,
It
my
was
girlfriend actually bought him one of the drinks because he was like, he was kind of being he was being like really like coy about wanting one, and she was like, well, then I'm just gonna get you one then. And I guess I don't know. I don't know if that was like his first or his like fifth.
no man.
By the way,
You never know, man. He might have been pre gaming all the way from Kansas. You never know. He just
that's
had to
true. Yeah.
just go. Oh my gosh! So we're gonna wrap this up because god dang, this is just
Yeah.
gonna be the longest episode ever. We've got two quick questions, but I want to actually talk to you about something that you weren't able to attend. First question
Yes.
though, very unrelated, but is actually kind of prevalent because there's been a lot of news about it recently. Pi
Mhm.
Studio and Knox Seven were asking, what are your current thoughts on P5X as well as any chances of coming to not phone and PC options like consoles and stuff. I'll only say this because I haven't talked about P5X in a while. It's like a
Mhm.
thing that the more I see, I just care less about. It's really weird. Like it looks good, but it's like the more I see, I'm like, cool, have fun. Like it's not hooked me, but it might change if I play it. I haven't tried any of the closed beta, but like P5X
Yeah.
it just feels like one of those games that's just going to be stuck on mobile forever, and a bunch of people will like it, and it'll shut down in 5 years, and then that'll be its life story.
That 5 years is a bit ambitious. I feel like
5 months.
so like I'm in a very similar boat as you because I went in being like, oh my god, a new Persona 5 IP to being like, okay, like I think I retweeted something that Faz posted today, but I literally I played part of the beta and I was like, okay, like I think I've had my fill of this game for the rest of my life. Like it almost feels like it almost feels like literally the meme of can I have Persona 5? Oh no, we have Persona 5 at home. Like that's what I feel about with this mobile game. And I almost feel like it's gonna be trapped on mobile and PC and then it'll just die like in a year or two. But then based on how many updates it's been getting, maybe it's actually doing numbers.
Well,
I
remember,
don't
it's
know
still
how the
not
Chinese
out yet.
mobile
Like
market.
that's the weird thing. Like until it's out,
Oh,
it's
okay.
so so we've just been getting more updates and stuff to the game. So since the closed beta's ended,
Hmm.
this has been the first big media blitz. But like the game still doesn't even have a release date.
Gotcha. I do anticipate it coming to the West though. I feel like it might not just because of like depending on like how well it does when it actually officially launches. Because if you're telling me that it hasn't even launched yet, then now I'm wondering if all the stuff that I've been seeing is just like kind of like that fluff of when fans push something more than the actual studio is. If you know what I
A
mean.
100%. Plus, the other thing I think about a lot with it is who's gonna publish this.
Oh yeah.
Sega's not gonna dump money into this, even with there being Persona. It's like Sega in the West is like they've had terrible mobile luck with not Sonic games. So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, like this is an expensive game to localize. A lot of voice
Yeah.
acting, a lot of like translating. So it's like they're not going to license it out. They're not going to translate it right away for a worldwide launch. So it might be one of those
Hmm.
games where it's just stuck in like constantly like delayed updates and stuff like that. Although I should say this because it's not in the news and you are on the show. I don't talk about DX2 very much, but the Evangelion crossover has made me laugh very much this week. That's been a really funny, stupid update.
Yeah, I literally read every single like DLC story or whatever, and I had to rewatch Evangelion because I was like, I don't remember Shinji like doing this much. He's curled into balls and he's like
He's like
covered
the
his
the
ears.
problem with like Evangelion when it does crossovers, it's the most milk toast version of the characters. It's like whatever
Yeah,
stereotype you think of Shinji, Rei, and all of them, that's the ones that's in the mobile crossovers.
yeah, and I was just like, man, this is such a funny story because it's literally trying to be a retelling of Evangelion, but what if they were in DX2 for some reason? And I actually have had more fun with this than I've had with that game in years
It's
because
weirdly like the most appropriate crossover that series has had
I
in
think it
years.
is. Yeah, someone was like, because I tweeted about it. Someone was like, "This is like, this doesn't make any sense as a crossover. It has nothing to do with demons." And I was like, "There's more, there's more to Megaton than demons, but also,
I mean,
no,
the
this is a
angels alone too.
yeah." I was like, I was like, if anything, I always kind of associated Evangelion with Devil Survivor 2, but like in general, it works quite well with Megaton, and this is probably my favorite collab, and I've played every single collab. This one beats them all. It's so funny. The only like I had to rewatch. I started watching the rebuild anime because I've never actually watched those, just because I didn't know who Mari was, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
When you finally get to 4.0, let me know what you think because I genuinely think that's like a absolute masterpiece of like a gorgeous, gorgeous movie.
Okay, I'm hyped for it. I'm still on 3. I think it's just called 3.0.
Yeah,
Or,
so after 3.0, 4.0 is the one it's called 3.0 plus 1.0, and then there's different versions whether you're watching it on IMAX or digital, but like whatever one is on Amazon is like that's fine. It's whatever one to watch, but the ending of it
all right.
is they somehow didn't fuck up the ending of the Rebuild series, which thank God.
Yeah, because I will say, the first movie I was like, oh, like it's just the first, it's just the show, but I like it. Second one, I was like, oh man, they're changing some stuff. And this third one, I'm like, oh, there's so many. I have so many questions. Like, I hope they're all answered with four, please.
4 is really long. They easily could have like. There's a reason that movie took like 8 years to make. Like it
Yeah.
easily could have been two different movies. It's a massive, massive thing. But the final question that we got from phones is actually ironically kind of funny because I've been thinking of this movie all week. Asks us, are we going to bring our Nahabino plush to the Barbie movie? Which like I
I
didn't
mean,
think about that, but like now that you've said that, I'm kind of like I could like see that being a good picture of just like Ryan
yeah,
Gosling looking at the Nahabino plushie off screen in a movie theater. I'm like I could make that happen.
that's actually a good point. Maybe I will.
Well, you know what we need to do at the very least when we buy our ticket, because I assume you're a man of culture. You're also going to be seeing Barbie, the Barbieheimer
I
double
already
feature.
bought my tickets.
Perfect. So
I've
we
been,
need to
I've
when you
been
when you go to get your ticket printed off, you should just like have your Nahabito with you and be like one ticket for Barbieheimer, please.
one ticket for me, one ticket for Bino, please.
But yeah, that is a fantastic idea, phones. Thank you very much. But yeah, the last thing I want to talk about, which like we might not have much to say, but again, kind of goes to this. Laru, has Atlus ever hosted a panel at AX before?
A long time ago, yeah. So I think the most recent one they did was for Strikers, and that was like a weird one that like they had like a certain like a very like it was a really small room. They filled up immediately. And then before that, I don't remember recall one until around Persona 4 Golden, I want to say, or Persona 4. Either the initial Persona 4 or Golden
I know there was
was
one
like
for
the last
Golden
one I
back like
recall.
10 years ago. Yeah, I remember that one. But like
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Atlas first announced that they had two panels for AX and we didn't know that what the games were tied to it, they just said, "Hey, come to this Atlas West panel. We're going to have two panels talking about what it's like working at Atlas West." I was like, "That's a great idea for a panel." And then of course we
Mhm.
found out that's not actually what the panel was about. The panels were about one was for P5T and one was for P3R. Did you watch either of these VODs? Which, by the way, I don't know if anyone actually like recorded them. Like, F in the chat because apparently all the live recording of those are completely nuked.
Really?
So
I wonder
it
why they
was
would do
all. I'm
that.
sure there's some record, like there's clips everywhere, but like a full
Yeah.
recording. They had them all streamed on Twitch as one VOD, but they were playing Ghibli music in the background. So Ghibli made them have to take the entire stream VOD down.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's a very interesting. I'm sorry, because I'm just thinking, Persona is known for its music, and they couldn't just play like
oh well, no,
Shadow
no, no,
World
no.
on
Like
loop.
I'm talking about like so like at AX like on the main stage they're playing panels all back to back
Oh,
to back, so it's like a 13-hour VOD, and during it they're playing anime music all throughout.
okay, that makes way more sense. But that's still a very something decision.
Very stupid. But like, did you get
Yeah.
to check out either panels?
Okay, so I started watching the Persona 5 one, but I kind of like I like clicked
It's
off.
a
I
snooze.
watched
I
the
was there.
entire
It's a
um
snooze.
yeah, but for the Persona 3 one, I've never seen a panel where I've been convinced that these people were made to play these characters before.
It's I'm really conflicted
Yeah.
about both, and I promise I'm not saying that because they didn't pick me to host the panel. But like, I went in really unbiased in the sense of like I just wanted to see how they're gonna handle this panel. We
Yeah.
known that they'd asked questions on Twitter before, or like a Google form of like, hey, let us know what questions you want to ask the voice actors. Here's the problem:
Hmm.
both panels were sub an hour. They were rushing through all of them. There was no
Oh.
audience participation. Everything was just reading off a PowerPoint presentation slide. The new trailers were cool, but the new trailers were not full of any surprises and were immediately uploaded online. So it's like, okay, we're not really like missing anything by not being there. And then like, well, like so a good example like with P5T, they had Erina's character there, the new girl, and I was
Hmm.
like, "Oh, hey, I'd love to learn about this character because like there's a lot of things we don't know about her joining the Phantom Thieves." And like one of my big things would have been like, "Hey, I'm in the middle of this thing. As soon as they open up the door for questions, I have a perfect question that I want to run up there and ask." And then found out, "Oh, there are no questions." Everyone in there was not allowed to ask a single question. You had to be handpicked beforehand to be asked a question. They only included 3 questions from fans, and they were all super milquetoast questions. And then all the questions leading up to the fan questions were all the most boring, like things you've heard a million times. Hey, Matt Mercer, what got you into voice acting? No, no one wants to hear this for the 100 millionth time. Please, like, and I get it. I'm very biased because it's like how I would run a panel is super different than how maybe other people want to see a panel run. But like the
Hmm.
P5T panel, I kid you not, was done in less than 40 minutes. It felt like they were
Oh wow.
speed running to get that thing done. And it just like it was just such a bummer because it was like all of us were here, we were excited to learn about this game cuz like there are still so many things like we don't know about these upcoming games. Like obviously P3R, yeah, talking about the voice actors and having the new voice actors is going to fill up a lot more of the panels. So that's less of an issue on that one. But it was just one of
Yeah.
those things where, at least with like the Persona 5 one, I was like really hoping that it would be like, hey, this could be a fun moment to like talk to the fans about this different kind of a game. Where like there was a Atlus producer who came on a pre-recorded message, and this is literally all he had to say. With Persona 5, we popularized JRPGs in a way that the world had never seen. With P5 Strikers, we did the same with action RPGs, and now with P5 Tactica, we're gonna do the same with tactical RPGs. Goodbye, everybody. It's like, all right, first off, F you for not mentioning the dancing games. That would have been a hilarious joke. All of us would have laughed at. You should have been like, we revolutionized the world of dancing games with Persona 5 Tactica. But like the fact that it's like it was just like it I don't know, because like again, I'm always in a weird side of this because the way I would do it is always different than however, especially official Atlus stuff is ever run. But it's just like it's one of those things where like you see someone, you're like, I would love to interview this guy, and then someone next to you gets to interview them, and all their questions are, Hey, what's it like being cool? How'd you get so cool? What are you gonna do tomorrow? Bye. It just felt like such a bummer, and I remember like talking to people afterwards. They were like, "Yeah, it just felt really rushed." And then like that was so kind of funny. Of then like I remember talking to you about being like I was so worried no one would show up to my panel because it was going to be at the same time
Hmm.
as the P3 panel, and so many people who showed up. Ironically, it's got to have helped because of the concert, bringing a lot more just SMT fans there. But it was just so
Yeah.
funny because a lot of them were just like, I wanted to be at an SMT thing, and I knew that this wasn't just going to be a bunch of voice actors talking.
Hmm.
So I thought that was kind
I
of
mean,
an
that's good.
interesting, an interesting dilemma. Also, I don't know whatever happened. There were legitimately like at least two people who came up to me and were like, "Oh my god, dude, this is so cool. What do you do at Atlas?" I'm like, "I don't work at Atlas." It would have been real, but like, but then I thought about it. I was like, "There's nothing stopping Atlas from doing their own similar kind of panel to that." Like, I would love it if
Yeah.
Atlas employees had their own employee panel because like people would like because like other companies do like there's a lot of like localization and translating panels like there's a lot more to video games than just the people who make them and the people who do voice acting like there's so many other levels to
Hmm.
it.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I'm glad they. Did I tell you that I was gonna do a panel too? Actually.
I heard the story about how it was gonna happen and then didn't and I felt really bad but like so I was gonna ask like
Yeah.
so for you like if you had done yours like what would yours have kind of like been around and how would you have kind of planned it?
It would have literally been like the history, like because I already wrote it out because I was like, okay, well, I want to do basically like a 30-minute like almost like run through of like the history of Atlas, and in particularly like SMT and like the Megaton franchise as a whole, and then I was gonna open it up to questions and then do a little trivia thing at the end where I was gonna just give away some stuff because I have so much merch I could just bring anything, but
Anything.
yeah.
How many rugs? Do you guys want any rugs? I got rugs.
I was actually gonna bring out some of the good stuff. I was gonna be like, oh, does anybody want this Jack Frost piggy bank? I have three, which to me sounds like amazing, but I do now saying it out loud. I'm like, maybe
I've
that's
got.
not.
I'm just imagining like your closet's like the Timu of like Atlas merch. Like, do
It
you want?
really is. I got Jack Frost pencils. You want some?
So
Like, yeah,
that's
so
so
good.
that's so funny. No, but like I completely get that. So like I gotta ask though, how long did you say your panel was gonna be?
It was gonna be I think the limit that they gave me was like an hour 30. I was literally gonna make it as long as I could possibly think I could be entertaining for it. I thought an hour 30 or whatever was good.
So when I found out that the panel was a completely full room, and I because originally the plan was, well, if it's really dead, I'll invite a bunch of my friends up, and then we can kind of talk and shoot the shit to kill more time. But then when I saw it was completely filled house, I was like, oh my god, I have 35 plus years of things to talk about. That there's no way I'm gonna fit this into an hour and 45 minutes because we had an almost 2 hour
Mhm.
long panel, and I had the ability to do three, and I was like, I should have just done three because by the time I was like almost there, because like, the thing about giving away prizes while going through it all, like there were like
Yeah.
maybe one or two questions in the whole thing. A lot of it was just me doing trivia to give prizes away. But I will say the
Mhm.
thing that was so funny was, dude, people were loving the Bandai cards. People like
Really?
because I literally I ended up having enough to give one away to everybody who wanted one because I had the full set
Uh-huh.
there to give away. And it was so funny, like, dude, I had someone who just took the plastic wrap the cards came in and tweeted at me that day. They're like, oh man, thanks for the panel. I got the plastic wrap from the Bandai cards. Like, the whole room was, like, just so happy to be there and getting other stuff. Because, like, we had posters, the Bandai set, and a bunch of other like little freebies to give away. And it was just so funny. Of
Hmm.
like my only regret is like, God, I wish I didn't have to rush to the ending so fast, because it was one of those things where it's just like there's just so much to talk about, and that's with me having taken out so many games. Like with even
Mm.
just talking about what you think is like the big stuff, it just takes so
Yeah.
much time.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because they've only done that kind of panel like once that I could think of. So, and I didn't get to go because I was like a teenager and I couldn't afford Anime Expo.
Yeah, I will say though, it is really funny. Of like, I've never had a panel that when I recorded it and I posted it right away, I had immediately so many people watch it and reach out to me and be like, "Thank you for posting this," because I was
Hmm.
never gonna buy tickets to AX just to see this, but it was cool to like still get to hear the room, like how big it was, like, and like stuff like that. So like
Yeah.
that's why I always like, I wish I could have like filmed the whole thing, but I, like along with everything else we were doing, is like, yeah, I wasn't gonna be bringing like a tripod and a bunch of other stuff with it, but like if I get a chance to
Yeah.
do it again with it, yeah, I would be like, I would do it longer, and I would like get a film set up for the whole thing, because like the whole thing was just so fun to like have a full, like, again, it just felt like everyone from the concert just came to my panel. And it was just a big
Good.
old hangout afterwards of everyone just wanting to talk and a bunch of other stuff like that. And a bunch of other things that were just like, damn, I wish more people were here. Not in the sense of no one showed up, but because it just was like, fuck, I just, like, it would have been cool. Like, cool to know, like,
Yeah.
our first time going
You
to
know,
one
it's
of
like a missed
these.
opportunity.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was like one of those things, too, of like, what was so funny was no one really being like, "Oh, dang, I wish we could have filled up the room more." Like at this point, I'd be like, "Yeah, we could probably fill up a room like at least a time and a half bigger than what we got as well." With like, because
Hmm.
we had the entire, like, I don't know if you've been to it before, so we had the theater room. So when you're in the like the
Okay,
400s, like
that's
the
a big
big
room.
theater like amphitheater, like we had every one of those
Yeah.
seats all full.
Wow.
So it was cool just
I
to
mean, that's pretty impressive.
And again, like what I thought was so funny was like, is that A, people showed up, and B, it was at the exact same time as a much more highly anticipated Persona 3 panel.
Yeah.
So like then thinking like, hey, maybe if next year the schedule doesn't completely hate us, we should just try and like do one where all of us get together and like do that in a much longer form, and can like properly like have a lot more people kind of show up and like participate in it.
Yeah. And there's it's funny too because there's so many people that like you and I both know that would also just be draws just because like they're either people involved or they're just like other content creators. So maybe next year is our year.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the giving away the Beano was very funny. The room was gonna fucking kill someone to get that Nahabito. It was very hysterical to watch. So like my worry though when I told them that, I was like, are they gonna be more impressed or less impressed when I told them I drew on it? Because remember I had Damon and Casey sign the forehead.
Yeah.
And when the room saw, I didn't say until the person who won the prize, but when the room saw, they like somehow like got more excited for the person who won it, like in a way of like being like, oh, congratulations, it is now more valuable. Because like my worry was like, I hope no one's gonna be like, oh damn, why did you have them draw on the forehead? It's like lost its value now.
That's actually it's funny because you had mentioned that and I was like, dang, I should have asked Casey because I talked to them like during the like little VIP thing, but like they were so inundated with like people like crowding them that I literally was just like, oh, like hey, because I had brought them SMT like 3 and Digital Devil Saga because they wanted to play it and I was like, well, I have extra copies, so I'll just bring some. So I all I did was like hand them those copies. I was like, okay, well,
See,
bye.
that at least makes sense. That is so funny because I was like, who are these people who like brought their like SMT5 collector's editions to get signed to this concert? I was like, I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that. Like, shout out to the dude. I forget his name because I remember he had also reached out to me after the concert. Some guy brought a Japanese copy of Persona 4 to the panel. So when we got to Persona 4, he raised it up in the air. And he's like, "Oh fuck yeah! Why do you have this? Like, why did you come to the SMT panel with a Japanese copy on a PS2 of fucking Persona 4?" And I was like, well, you know what? It's Anime Expo. I should not question anything at this point.
Yep.
Well, you know what I should definitely do besides question things? I should definitely let us go to bed because holy shit, this has gone a horrendously long
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah. It's actually like right there at my bedtime. I'm like,
But before I let you go, I do just want to thank you again for coming back on the room. But I also wanted to ask
yeah.
where can people find you? Where do you want people to find you? What's your thread? What's your Rumble account? What's your freedom dot speech? Where can they find you in all your 900 documentaries in the making?
Literally just YouTube. If you follow me on Twitter, that's like the unhinged LaRue. And then if you follow me on TikTok, you like that's probably the worst version of LaRue you
Cat
can get.
Cat was telling me this. Do you have two TikToks?
I do. I
What?
have one where I have one where it's just Megaten, and the other one that was originally for Megaten, I've veered into talking about politics. I talk about like racism. Like it's so like so far removed from what
I'm just
anyone knows me
imagining
for.
like one of your videos. Is the Little Mermaid too woke?
It's not too far off from my conversation.
Oh my god. What has TikTok
No,
done
but
to you?
don't follow it. Just follow me on YouTube and you'll be fine. I'll give you a video maybe in a few months. On top of working on a lot of things, I'm also just very lazy. Like because I have so many like other things going on that like I'm like okay, I could either work out or I can work on a video and I'm like,
I
I'd
love that
rather
you
go to the
say
gym.
lazy when in reality it's like you have a life. You have a full-time job that you have to do things with.
True. But I guess to me it's like I used to think of YouTube as like almost like a second job in a way where I'm like, okay, I have to like set some time aside to do this. But now whenever I'm like, okay, I have time, I'm like, man, I kind of just want to either like unwind by playing Don't Starve. Like I don't know what it is about Don't Starve, but I play it so much now. Or I'll like yeah, actually choose to live my life.
I mean, at least you can play Don't Starve in like a co-op sense, so at least it's not like as lonely as it used to be.
Yeah, Don't Starve together is like so fun with other people.
Okay, well, I will throw all your links in there for when the show gets posted so everyone can find it as well from
Yeah.
there. Same thing as usual with the show Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you enjoy this messy shenanigans and want to get it early, like this episode will be, you can go to patreon.com/SMTN. Donate $1 a month to get early access, or $5 and up get you executive producer tiers where I will say your name and whatever else you want me to say as long as it's in your name and probably not that bad sounding. Everyone has been pretty good about it so far. But shout out to all the SMTN executive producers like Budweiser Tall Can, Cameron Sharp, Carlos Hernandez, Jagingus, Contraband, Cross Renren, Demi Crow, Dozy Bear, Dr. Luna, Garo Sora, Jazzy Jefferson, K Horse, Mirth Mouser, and Patrick Dissart. Oh, almost forgot. And Philip Meyer. Thank you all so much for being executive producers and just cool people in general. And just listening to the show, even if you're on the free feeds and all the other fun stuff. But yeah, it's our
Yeah.
bedtime. We got to get out of here. And hope that the
Hee ho.
audio recording. Oh yeah, just do the 9 hour like hee ho chant is like the outro for this episode. Goodbye, everybody.